Chapter 292. Compared with Woodleaf's ninja school, Sand Crypsis's ninja school has fewer ancillary facilities. According to the school, this is to let the students develop a good style of hard work and simplicity. It's definitely not because of poverty. In short, the students of Sand Crypsis have less entertainment than Woodleaf. Because of this, when several senior students spread the word that the exchange student from Konoha had requested for an instructional battle, the students who had nothing to do all ran out and prepared to watch the battle with great interest. Huang Shi and the others are really getting worse and worse. Bullying people who are younger than them, even if they win, there's nothing to brag about. I heard that Woodleaf's people took the initiative to ask for a coaching battle. That's why I said they are stupid. If they win, it's natural, but if they lose, they will lose the face of Sand Crypsis. It's impossible to lose, right? That Woodleaf kid didn't even go to school, and he's the medical ninja with the worst fighting ability. That's true, there's nothing to be afraid of with a medical ninja. At this time, Huang Shi and the others also realized their mistake. Such a coaching battle doesn't seem to be meaningful. Thinking of this, they quickly pushed out a representative. Morishita is the weakest among us, let him fight with you, it's not bullying. Kabuto scratched his head shyly, I'm okay, I'm very weak. I'm sure no one can beat me. Seeing Kabuto's modest and shy appearance, Morishita was a little embarrassed. You can rest assured, I will end the battle as soon as possible. Kabuto nodded vigorously, thank you senpai, you have to be careful too. What's there to be careful about medical ninja? Morishita secretly laughed in his heart and replied perfunctorily, I will. The two sides faced each other. I'm going, clone jutsu. Morishita skillfully made a few hand seals, divided into three without a physical body, and attacked Kabuto from 4 directions. What a skilled clone jutsu. Even the weakest among the seniors has this kind of strength, this is Sand Crypsis. Huang Shi and the others excitedly boasted, and then they saw Kabuto break through the clones and raised his small fist to meet them. After their fists collided, the two of them returned to their original positions. After a moment of silence, Huang Shi and the others found another angle to brag about. Good, as expected of Morishita. Even if my attack is seen through, I'll be able to react immediately. But at this moment, they saw Morishita's right hand twitching uncontrollably as if he was having a seizure. Morishita glared at Kabuto. You did it? Bai had an innocent look on his face, didn't I tell Senior to be careful? Moriya was filled with grief and indignation. But this is not a medical ninjutsu at all. No, this is indeed a medical ninjutsu. A ninja school teacher walked out of the crowd and glared fiercely at Morishita before explaining in an orderly manner, by turning the chakra in the body into electrons and then generating an electric field, and releasing electrons to the nervous system in the enemy's body to disrupt the enemy's control of the body. This is a very advanced application of medical ninjutsu. However, I didn't expect that such a high-level medical ninjutsu would appear in the hands of a child, Bai politely explained. In fact, this is a low-level version of Garashi, sensei's flickering body technique, which can only be used on a certain part of the enemy's body. The teacher suddenly said, it turned out to be Garashi, Sama's development, then it's not surprising. Huang Shi was already angry about this result, and now seeing that the teacher was siding with Woodleaf, the dissatisfaction in his heart reached the extreme. Damn it, the previous one doesn't count, this time I will fight with you. The school teacher frowned, haven't you made enough trouble? But he lied to us. Bai blinked and secretly said, sorry, I didn't know that senpai's strength was so weak, maybe he didn't explain it clearly before. When the school teacher heard this, he was even more dissatisfied. You think he didn't reveal enough information? Idiot, will the enemy tell you their own information when you go to the battlefield? Huang Shi was speechless. Indeed, blaming the enemy for not telling you enough information is a stupid thing to do, but he was still not convinced. This kind of ability, as long as they were careful, they could avoid it, but they were deceived by the other party's despicable means, and they didn't think about it at all. If they had to do it again, they would never lose. Seeing this, Bai sighed like an adult. Teacher, let me fight with senpai again. The school teacher was surprised. Are you sure? Huang Shi is one of the strongest people in the school. Bai smiled happily. It doesn't matter if we win or lose, as long as we can solve the misunderstanding. The school teacher sighed and looked at Huang Shi with a reproachful look. He scolded, "Look at others, and then look at your tolerance." Seeing this scene, Huang Shi was puzzled. Did he misunderstand the other party? Did he not deliberately deceive them, but really think they are strong? Huang Shi shook his head and put these distracting thoughts behind him. No matter what, I must defeat him today. Thinking of this, Huang Shi strode forward. "Come on, let me see your medical ninjutsu." Bai nodded seriously again. "Senpai, you have to be careful. I am not an idiot, how can I fall in the same place twice? As long as I am careful and don't let him touch my body, I will be fine." Huang Shi thought in his heart and then said indifferently, "Come on, I will let you see the real strength of the Sand Crypsis' younger generation." The two sides faced each other. This time, Bai didn't wait for the other party to attack, but chose to take the initiative. Huang Shi calmly printed the seal, and the next moment, a hemispherical rock barrier covered him. "The battle is over from now on, with your medical ninjutsu, you can't even touch me." Boom. As soon as his voice fell, the rock barrier was broken by Bai's punch, and Huang Shi, who was calm, was blasted out together with the gravel and dust. The onlookers looked at this scene in shock. It was hard to imagine that such a weak body could contain such a powerful force. Bah! Huang Shi spat out the dust in his mouth, and then looked at Bai in shock and anger. "You lied to me again. Didn't you say you only know medical ninjutsu?" Bai said innocently, "Yes." Seeing Bai shamelessly admit it, Huang Shi almost choked. "You call this medical ninjutsu?" "Of course." Bai said confidently, "Medical ninjutsu is a ninjutsu for treating injuries. I protect myself from injury. Isn't that the highest level of medical ninjutsu for treating injuries from the root?" Huang Shi was at a loss. Can it be like this? Isn't that medical ninjutsu? Chapter 293. After the shock, Huang Shi tried to calm himself down. "It's just a guy who only knows how to use brute force. There is no need to be afraid." Seeing Kabuto running towards him, Huang Shi quickly retreated, trying to get away from him. But Kabuto followed him closely, so that he couldn't even find time to make hand seals. "Damn, this bastard is too close." Huang Shi cursed in his heart. He hasn't mastered the ability to move while making hand seals, but if he stopped, he wasn't sure if he could complete the hand seals before Kabuto caught up. "No, I can only fight." Huang Shi jumped hard. After trying to get away from Kabuto, he quickly turned around and threw out a few shurikens, and then began to make hand seals as fast as he could. For Huang Shi's shuriken throwing technique, Kabuto easily avoided it, and then rushed towards Huang Shi with light steps. Looking at Kabuto getting closer to himself, Huang Shi's heart beat faster, and his forehead was full of sweat. Faster, faster. Under the pressure of Kabuto, his hand seal speed increased to the limit, and he almost made the wrong hand seals several times, but finally, he successfully completed the ninjutsu. Wind release, great breakthrough. Ha! Finally stabilized. Looking at Kabuto, who was less than 2 meters away from himself, Huang Shi's legs were weak. However, it's not the time to relax. While he avoids the attack, I have to prepare a ninjutsu in advance. Wait, does this guy want to die? In front of Huang Shi's incredulous eyes, Doubai did not even try to dodge the wind blade. Doubai's blood-stained fist landed on Huang Shi's face and sent him flying. This guy looks soft and weak, but he's actually so ferocious. Several senior students who followed Huang Shi were a little panicked. The development of the plot was a little different from what they imagined. As expected of someone who came back from the battlefield. The ninja school teacher sighed secretly. Huang Shi's timing, combat experience, and mentality are too much worse than Kabuto. He really learned my previous fighting style. Will he become Kabuto in the future? Garashi thought with interest, but his face was apologetic. Sorry, I didn't expect it to be so big. Huh, don't mind it. Raza had already expected such a thing to happen, so he did not care. He just looked at Garashi with hungry eyes. Did you really only teach this little guy for a year? A few months at most, a year. He has grown to this extent in just over a year. Raza was shocked. He also knew that with how busy Garashi was, it was impossible for him to spend all his time teaching. In other words, his actual teaching time had to be greatly reduced. Although he already knew about Shuemu's case, Raza could not help but be shocked when Kabble's example was placed in front of him. He even had the crazy idea of kidnapping Garashi and keeping him in the sand crypsis. On the field. Is that all? Bai sighed in disappointment. Not only is his strength average, but even his temperament is surprisingly weak. Since it's a battle, he should have the awareness to gamble everything. Coo. Huang Shi wanted to defend himself, but as soon as he opened his mouth, he made a pigeon-like sound because his facial nerves were in a mess. Oh. Bai nodded in sudden realization. Do we have to continue fighting until one side can no longer get up before it's over? It seems that I underestimated the determination of Senpai. Everyone was at a loss. Are you sure he wants to continue the battle? This bastard wants to kill me. Looking at the indifferent eyes of the other side, Huang Shi's legs trembled, and he could no longer bear the fear in his heart and stumbled to escape. Coo. Too shameful. Seeing Huang Shi's disgraceful appearance, everyone present was embarrassed. Although they did not agree with Huang Shi's behavior, after provoking him, he did not even have the courage to fight. It was simply a disgrace to the sand crypsis. Kill the heart. Both Ren and Fog nodded with satisfaction. To deal with this kind of people, making them die is even more terrible than real death. Is this senpai really an excellent student of the ninja school? How can he be so weak? Kabuto looked puzzled. I've never been to school, and I don't have any systematic guidance. I've only been taught some medical ninjutsu by Sush-sama for more than a year. I should be very weak. Hearing Bai's words, everyone was shocked. From an orphan to surpass Huang Shi in more than a year, how powerful is Garashi-sama's guidance? Thinking of this, no one cared about the loser Huang Shi anymore. They looked at Garashi with greedy eyes. Those green eyes made Garashi's scalp tingle. They are. Garashi turned to look at Raza, and then saw a pair of green eyes. Garashi couldn't help but be silent. Did he enter the wolf's den? After this episode, everyone was more interested in Garashi's class. As a result, the classroom was packed with people inside and outside the classroom after the class started. Seeing this, Raza waved his hand and said, "Go and empty the auditorium for Garashi's class." Then, the crowd rushed to the auditorium. After changing locations, Shushi stood on the podium and began his lecture calmly. For those of you who are still in school, high-level ninjutsu is still far away from you. You will have the guidance of your school's teachers for mid-level and low-level ninjutsu, so let me show you something new. Something new? The students in the auditorium and the teachers who came to watch were a little confused. Learning is learning. Is it possible to do something new? Cultivation is actually a very boring process, because we can't see our own improvement. Day by day, we may feel that we have done nothing. Over time, we lose interest in cultivation and regard it as a boring job. Although chakra is an extraordinary system, the improvement of strength is not obvious. For example, the amount of chakra refined can generally be roughly judged by the number of ninjutsu that can be used. Such an algorithm is naturally difficult to see the results in a short time. The same is true for the mastery of ninjutsu. There is no proficiency to judge your mastery of ninjutsu. Even if you are lucky to use a ninjutsu, it doesn't mean that you have completely mastered this ninjutsu. Everyone nodded, not fully understanding. Wasn't cultivation like this? The ninja world has been like this for thousands of years. Garashi smiled. So, I developed a solidified genjutsu that can turn the results of cultivation into data. Dream World. Chapter 294. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone in the auditorium started whispering to each other. Dream World? What's that for? Solidified illusion, what does that mean? I know every word, but I don't understand when they're connected. Garashi clapped his hands and signaled for everyone to quiet down. It might be difficult to understand if I just explain it. Let's experience it for ourselves. An illusion radiated out. Thinking of Garashi's words, everyone fell into it without any resistance. Of course, except for a small number of people, they did not have the ability to resist. When they opened their eyes again, what appeared in front of them was a completely different world. Streams were gurgling, birds were chirping, and cicadas were chirping. It was a completely different scene from the desolate sand crypsis. Where is this? Is this an illusion? It feels like a real world. To be able to pull so many of us into the same illusion, as expected of Sir Garashi. Seeing that everyone was immersed in the illusion, Garashi's character in the illusion said, "This illusion has no other functions for the time being. There is only one attribute system. Everyone can call out the panel to see your attributes." Everyone was in a state of confusion. After hearing Garashi's words, they subconsciously called out the panel. The next moment, an illusory light appeared in front of everyone. At first, everyone was shocked by this illusory light, but soon they began to explore it excitedly. Chakra 5. Does this mean that I can refine chakra? Hehe, you're a trash with a chakra of 5. I'm a powerhouse with 17 chakra. Hiss. Shalon Senpai actually has 365 chakra, it's really terrifying. My chakra is 37, but my mental energy is 37 and my physical energy is 51. Does this mean that I should train my mental energy as much as possible? There's also strength, speed, reflexes. Can these be reflected in numbers? That's amazing. In a sense, this was an online game world that couldn't be any simpler. Apart from the attribute panel, there were no online game elements. Even so, everyone was still having a great time. Garashi continued, in the future, you can log into this world at any time to check the changes in your attributes. If you can't see any changes, you can adjust the decimal points of these attributes until you can see the smallest improvement. Hearing Garashi's words, everyone became excited. This way, we can see the results of our efforts every day. With this, I can cultivate every day until dawn. However, there were still some students who were puzzled. Log in at any time? Could it really be done? Lord Garashi, you can't be by our side all the time, right? Garashi smiled and said, the reason why I said this is a solidified illusion is because this illusion world exists forever after it is created. As long as you master a few fixed hand seals, you can come in without me casting illusions. The development of this technique was not difficult. The key was how to survive. Without the replenishment of his chakra, the dream world would gradually wither away like a rootless duckweed. On this point, Garashi's main reference was the Pure Land of Bliss. In Garashi's view, the Pure Land of Bliss was a very strange existence. Logically speaking, it was not strange for a soul to stay in the Pure Land for a period of time. But from the way the samsara summoned the souls of the previous Kages, even the souls of the first Kages of the villages were staying in the Pure Land of Bliss. If the Pure Land of Bliss was born together with the world, it was hard to imagine how bloated the Pure Land of Bliss would have become after countless years. So, he had always guessed that the Pure Land of Bliss was the masterpiece of the samsara. After understanding the mystery of the Grim Reaper, he used the ability of the Grim Reaper's mask to take a look at the Pure Land of Bliss. The result was as he expected. The Pure Land of Bliss was a product of the natural energy. Only the ubiquitous natural energy could allow an alternate dimension of that size to exist. In a sense, the Pure Land of Bliss was an existence similar to the alternate dimensions of the three holy lands. In Garashi's view, the Pure Land of Bliss might have been the inspiration of the samsara from the three holy lands. Because of this, Shushi allowed his dream world to be attached to the existence of natural energy. Only then could the technique be completed. Hearing Garashi's explanation, everyone was overjoyed. Great, I suddenly feel more motivated to practice. By the way, can we sneak into the space to cheat in the future? The teachers and the other jonin were also shocked and thought of many other applications of this ability. Not to mention other things, just being able to go online in time to ask for help when the enemy ambushed them is of great significance. After thinking for a while, Garashi continued. The dream world still has a lot of room for improvement. I plan to add a ranking list in the next version, including the world ranking list and everyone's friend ranking list. The next version will add a battle system so that everyone can improve their combat ability as much as possible while ensuring their safety. In the next version, I plan to let the dream world realize cross-regional communication and open a common area between Woodleaf and Sand Crypsis, so that everyone can make more friends without going out and promote the common progress of Woodleaf and Sand Crypsis. Everyone's eyes lit up when they heard this. The dream world, which was only used to encourage themselves, suddenly became more interesting. However, just as everyone's curiosity was piqued, Shushi added, "Of course, it's very difficult to update this content in a short period of time. I estimate that it'll be good if it can be updated once every 3 years." Everyone, who was excited by Garashi's update content, was instantly at a loss. "It can't be, you just finished talking and you're delaying the update, Garashi-sama, where's your conscience? I really want to lock Garashi-sama in a small dark room and not let him eat if he doesn't update." Garashi turned a blind eye to these resentful eyes. This technique was related to some of his future plans, so it was better to slow down a little. If he rushed it, it would be easy to go out of control. This technique only allows you to see your own growth, the real cultivation depends on you. Garashi smiled. "And this is the first lesson I'm teaching you." As soon as his voice fell, everyone clapped their hands wildly. Apart from delaying the update, this technique is indeed super powerful. Even the teachers of the Sand Crypsis school couldn't help but sigh. Compared with Garashi, their teaching methods were indeed a bit backward. Seeing the enthusiasm of the leaks, Garashi was also very moved. They're all lovely people. Although they were suspected of being enemies, Garashi didn't care. According to Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Shursui, he has now transcended the narrow-minded village doctrine and nationalism, and his vision has been set on the whole ninja world. After all, I'm the man who wants the whole world to be my wings. Chapter 295. Garashi's teaching of Sand Crypsis went on in an orderly manner. Except for returning to the village midway and handing over the technique to Woodleaf School, there were no twists and turns during the period. It's just that some of the students have awakened an attribute called liver. At such a young age, their hairline already has the demeanor of a strong person. This makes Shueisha a little worried about the quality of the Sand's genes in the future. In this way, time passed slowly without him noticing. Half a year later, in Kazakage's office, Raza asked in surprise, "Garashi, are you ready to go back?" Garashi nodded slightly. "I've been in Sand Crypsis for half a year, and it's time to go back." "It's only half a year, it's still early." Seeing that Garashi was unmoved, Raza changed his words. "Garuda will give birth in 2 months. No matter what, you should wait until your little nephew is born before you go back." Garashi hesitated for a moment. 2 months? Okay then. Raza laughed. "That's right." Garashi asked, "Brother Raza, have you thought about the child's name?" Raza looked at him lovingly. "If it's a boy, call me Garuda, and if it's a girl, call her Chiba. Very good names." Garashi nodded, and then asked hesitantly, "I heard that Brother Raza, you intend to make this child a Chibi's Jinchuriki?" "How do you know?" Raza stared and then scolded, "Are those bastards' mouths leaky?" "But, forget it, anyway, Garashi, you're not an outsider." Raza shook his head and then said in a deep voice, "Although Shikaku may have been scared by you and hasn't made any movements in the past 6 months, judging from its previous 3 outbursts, its hatred for Sand Crypsis is very deep. In this case, no one is willing to take over this troublesome task, so I can only take it on myself." Garashi asked, "If it's you, Brother Raza, you should be able to suppress a Chibi as a Jinchuriki, right?" Raza shook his head. "I can do it, but a Chibi won't improve my strength much. In order to make Sand Crypsis more powerful, it's necessary to make my child a Jinchuriki. This is a path full of thorns," Shushi said with a straight face. Raza clenched his fists. He is the child of the Kazakage, and is destined to bear unimaginable pressure. Furthermore, I believe that under the guidance of Jia Holuo and I, he will definitely be able to grow into an outstanding individual and control tailed beasts with his own will. Shushi asked again, did sister-in-law object? Razas Jinchuriki is Achibis is Jinchuriki Razas Jinchurikis Achibis Churikis Jinchuriki s. He's Kazakage's Razas Churiki s. Raza panicked. How could this be? Isn't there still 2 months before the due date? The Jinchuriki who came to report shook his head and said, I don't know, but it may be because of emotional fluctuations. Emotional fluctuations? It shouldn't be. Raza said with a complicated look in his eyes. Did she know that I planned to make my child a Chibi's Jinchuriki? The Jinchuriki urged, Kazakage-sama, you'd better go and take a look. Raza came back to his senses and nodded repeatedly, you're right, I'll go now. Feeling uneasy, Raza left in a hurry, forgetting to inform Shushi of his arrival. Shushi, on the other hand, muttered to himself, is it Garu? I'm still interested in the protection she gave Gara. Sand Crypsis Hospital, outside the delivery room. Raza, who had rushed over, stopped outside the door, listening to the screams coming from the delivery room, and paced back and forth outside the door anxiously. Damn it, it was fine the first 2 times. Within a few minutes, a female doctor in a white coat came out. Raza hurriedly greeted her, Doctor, how is the situation? The female doctor naturally recognized his identity, Kazakage-sama, I'm sorry, Jadaro has a difficult birth. Raza took 2 steps back in horror. Premature birth plus a difficult birth was almost tantamount to a death sentence. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but whisper, then what are you doing out here? Hurry up and go in to save her. The female doctor didn't care about Raza's gaffe and just sighed, it's useless for me to go in now. I can only stabilize the situation and see if Jadaro can hold on until Chio arrives. After a pause, she continued, moreover, there is a decision that needs to be made by Kazakage-sama. Raza asked in a trance, what decision? The female doctor looked at him seriously, if it comes to the last step, are you going to save the mother or the child? Raza was silent for a moment and calmly spat out 2 words, save the mother. I see. The female doctor nodded and was about to say something when the window on the side suddenly opened and Chio jumped in from outside. Where is she? At first, the female doctor was startled by Chio's unusual way of entering the door, but after she reacted, she hurriedly said, Chio-sama, she's inside. Then, Raza eagerly watched the 2 enter the delivery room. Although elder Chio is usually not very reliable, she is still very reliable at critical moments. Raza forcibly hypnotized himself, but it didn't take long for the door to open again. Seeing Chio come out with a solemn face, Raza only felt that his heart was about to stop beating, for fear of hearing some bad news from Chio's mouth. Chio didn't keep him in suspense and asked directly, where is she? Who? Raza wondered, isn't Jadaro inside? I'm asking that boy Shimizu Garashi, is he on good terms with you? Chio squinted at him. Garashi? Raza was puzzled again. Garashi is not a gynecologist, is he? Idiot, who do you think he is? Chio couldn't help but scold, he can even save Jiraiya from a fatal injury on the battlefield of Yunnan, his medical ninjutsu is even above his teacher. Even if he has no experience in gynecology, with his medical ninjutsu, he can stabilize Jadaro's vital signs as much as possible and buy us time. Raza suddenly panicked, I'm going to find him. As soon as possible. Chio frowned, Jadaro is unwilling to give up the child, in this case, it will be difficult for us to keep her. Jadaro, you. Raza was shocked, Elder Chio, please do your best before I come back, but at this moment, an angelic voice came from the side window, Brother Raza, are you looking for me? Raza turned his head in surprise, Garashi, why are you here? I was a little worried, so I followed. Before he finished speaking, Garashi was pulled by Chio to the delivery room. Stop talking nonsense, hurry up and go in. Chapter 296. In order to avoid arousing suspicion, Garashi took the initiative to tear off a white cloth to cover his eyes after entering. For him, his perception ability is enough to perform medical ninjutsu. Chio glanced at him and didn't stop him. Try to preserve her vital signs as much as possible. Can you do that? Garashi made a gesture, no problem, leave it to me. The next moment, the powerful yang release chakra poured out of his body, like a green fluorescent light, wrapped around Geru's body and penetrated into her body little by little. At this time, Geru's consciousness was already blurred, and she was only supported by her faith. The sudden addition of yang release chakra was like a clear spring, gradually restoring vitality to her dry heart. Seeing Geru's pale cheeks regaining color and her body improving at a speed visible to the naked eye, the other nurses in the delivery room couldn't believe it and looked at Garashi as if they were worshipping a god. Even Chio was secretly shocked. To what extent is this kid's application of yang release chakra directly instilling vitality? This is beyond the scope of normal medical ninjutsu. After the shock, Chio quickly calmed down. Don't be stunned, hurry up and perform the operation. The other nurses also woke up and cooperated with Chio to perform the operation, but they still secretly looked at Garashi's side face from time to time. Garashi didn't care about their gazes, his perception was all on Geru and Geru. When he first came in, Geru was already dying, and chakra was already showing signs of being wrapped around Geru's body. He could perceive that chakra contained incomparably strong faith. This faith was similar to what he perceived in Naruto at the time. Although the strength was much lower, it was instilled with a strong will. Azura's faith is still very difficult for me to comprehend, but Geru's will is much easier. Maybe I can try to use this as a bridge to figure out that power. Integrating chakra with spiritual will seems useless, but in fact, there are many ways to apply it. Among other things, the Haoshiku Haki he considered last time is one of them. Other than that, by attaching the chakra that contains one's will to others, when they are in danger, this chakra can be remotely revived. In a sense, this was the same as the chakra that Minato sealed in Naruto's body in the original track. Even if he died, even if he was still sealed in Shinigami's stomach, that chakra would still work. The sage of the six paths drifted in the world in the form of chakra after his death. His two sons were also reincarnated in the form of chakra. Even Gerulo's chakra could become Gerulo's shield. It can be seen that the essence of chakra is an existence that transcends life and death. Garashi thought to himself. Although he has been exploring the original power system of this world, it doesn't mean that he will underestimate the power of chakra. Even the Otsutsuki clan who crossed the starry sky is constantly harvesting the fruits of chakra, indicating that the essence of chakra is definitely not as simple as what the ninja world knows. While Garashi was thinking about this profound problem, the operation also reached the final step. Finally, with the sound of a baby crying, everyone in the room heaved a sigh of relief as if a heavy burden had been lifted off their shoulders. "Child, my child." Gerulo also regained consciousness and called with difficulty. Several nurses hurriedly brought the palm-sized premature baby to Gerulo. Gerulo looked at Gerulo lovingly and said gratefully, "Elder Chio, Garashi, thank you very much. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to accompany my child as he grows up." Chio took a deep look at Gerulo. This little guy is a premature baby. His physical indicators can't be compared with normal children, but he is stronger than other children. Gerulo wondered. "What is it?" Chio said in a deep voice, "It's the desire for life. If it weren't for his own persistence, he might have become a stillborn before we arrived." Gerulo looked at Gerulo in shock. "Child. It should be that sister-in-law's belief that you want him to live no matter what has passed to his heart. Sometimes, the spirituality of a newborn baby may be sharper than an adult." Garashi sighed. Because of his interference, Gerulo lost the Meizening cheat, but now it seems that he has gained something more precious. At the same time, in an underground money exchange, a tall ninja with a pair of dark green eyes threw the corpse on his shoulder on the counter and said concisely, "Exchange money." Yes. The person in charge here was very familiar with him, and without any unnecessary nonsense, he quickly entered the state of inspection. Black Thunder Yuichi with a bounty of 15 million ryo, Kakuzu-san, you brought back a great person. Kakuzu said indifferently. Not bad. After confirming that there was no mistake, the person in charge sealed Yuichi's body, then took out the bounty and handed it to Kakuzu. Kakuzu took the money and counted it back and forth 3 times before nodding with satisfaction. The amount is correct. Seeing this, the person in charge breathed a sigh of relief. No matter who the person in charge was, he didn't dare to deduct the bounty from this master. Just as he was sighing, Kakuzu suddenly asked, "Is there any information about that person?" The person in charge was startled for a moment, then nodded repeatedly, "There is. I'll buy a copy of his information." "Kakuzu-san is our VIP customer, this information is a gift from us." Hearing that it was free, Kakuzu's emotionless, harmonious eyes looked at him a lot more kindly. Taking the information, Kakuzu carefully read it. He revealed to the people around that he has plans to leave the Sand Crypsis in the near future. "Oh, I've been waiting for this for so long." The person in charge cautiously reminded, "Kakuzu-san, with all due respect, that man is an existence that can't be killed. Even the 1 billion Rio bounty was only issued by some people to vent their anger." Kakuzu's eyes suddenly became dangerous. "You mean, they won't give me the money?" The person in charge was startled by Kakuzu's eyes and quickly explained, "That's not it. If you really have the ability to kill that person, I think those villages will definitely be willing to pay the money." "That's good." Kakuzu nodded calmly. No matter how strong a person is, he will have a weakness if he has a bond. "Weakness?" The person in charge's eyes lit up. "You mean, the 3 children he has with him?" Kakuzu looked at him calmly. "If other bounty hunters are interested, they can come to me." The person in charge's eyes suddenly lit up. "Let others take the lead, and you'll be responsible for the sneak attack. Maybe it's really possible to catch those kids and force them to submit." Kakuzu frowned slightly, feeling that he was being looked down upon. He coldly snorted, "He's the second one who can make me sneak attack." The person in charge wondered, "Who's the first one?" "Hashirama Senju." After saying this sentence, Kakuzu turned around and left coolly. The person in charge was shocked. Could it be that the rumor is true? Kakuzu-san failed to assassinate the first Hokage Naruto and was punished by Takajin, and then he became a traitor. If that's the case, maybe Kakuzu-san can really kill Shimizu Garashi. Thinking of this, the person in charge's body trembled with excitement. This is a big event of this century. It might be the fuse that will reignite the war. Chapter 297. Because the body of a premature baby may have some sequelae of delayed development, in order to nurse Gaara's body, Garashi stayed in the Sand Crypsis for 2 months before he was ready to leave. At the gate of the Sand Crypsis, not only were there Kazekage, but also many people. "Garashi, thank you very much," Raza said with emotion. "The best decision I have made in my life was the suggestion I made to Sandame Naruto in the Chunin exam. If at the beginning he still had the intention of deliberately making friends with him, then now he is grateful to him from the bottom of his heart. If it weren't for Garashi, he might have lost him forever." Every time he thought of this possibility, he felt a burst of fear and palpitations. "Everyone in the Sand Crypsis is very warm and friendly to me. This is like my second home, and I am very grateful to everyone for taking care of me." Garashi responded with a smile. As his voice fell, the crowd on both sides burst into a burst of cheers. "Garashi-sama, we should thank you for your guidance to our child. My child is also grateful for your care. Garashi-sensei, be sure to come again in the future." The 3 little guys behind Garashi were all moved. For them, who have never been to school, the memory of the past 6 months can be said to be precious. In addition to being moved, they were also proud. To be able to get such respect and love in other villages, only Garashi-sensei can do it. In a small valley, hundreds of people were crowded in a mess. Suddenly, a voice sounded. "He's here," that man finally came out. As the voice fell, there was a burst of cheers in the valley. "That bastard still knows to leave. He also knows that he is Woodleaf's man. Damn it. Does he know how hard we have been waiting?" They still know about Shimizu Garashi's status in the shinobi world. In order to avoid being exposed, after the failure of their first mission, they have been eating and drinking in the valley for the past 2 months. As for buying food and gathering information, they would choose one person to come out and place a few dozen seals on that person's body. When that person returned safely, they would remove them. As a result, in just 2 months, the valley has become as smelly as a toilet. Even the wandering ninjas found it unbearable. For Kakuzu, the source of his pain was in another direction. It's been 2 months. Do you know how I spent the past 2 months? Kakuzu's expression was ferocious. For the past 2 months, he didn't dare to relax his focus on the sand crypsis. This also meant that he hadn't made any money for the past 2 months. I'll calculate the compensation for the loss of work for these 2 months with you. While Kakuzu was still angry, the leader of the wandering ninjas came over. Kakuzu-sama, when do we start? They dared to attack Shimizu Garashi because, on the one hand, they came from a small country, and they don't have an accurate concept of the so-called strong. Moreover, the number of people gave them courage. On the other hand, Kakuzu's legendary record gave them great confidence. He was able to assassinate first daimyo Naruto and retreat safely. This kind of strength, even if not comparable to Shimizu Garashi, isn't it at least not far away? They have the advantage in numbers, and the other side has 3 burdens. In this case, they really can't help but be tempted by the 1 billion bounty. Kakuzu took a deep breath. The stench in the valley couldn't make his face change in the slightest. Let's wait for a while. When they get close to the land of fire and relax their vigilance, that will be the time for us to act. In a small village on the border of the land of fire. Let's stay here today. Garashi looked around and said. Yeah. The 3 nodded in unison. Although they wanted to see everyone in the orphanage as soon as possible, they also knew that if they had a good rest at night, they would be more energetic tomorrow. After the 4 of them stayed in a hostel, the wandering ninjas who were secretly observing also began to act. This is a good opportunity. Qingshui Shushi is living separately from those 3 brats. Take advantage of this opportunity to catch the 3 kids. Divide some people to catch the owner of the hostel. With Shimizu Garashi's character, he certainly doesn't want to involve others. At this moment, in the room where the 3 of them were staying, Kabuto secretly opened his eyes. This sound. Someone is hiding outside? He habitually maintained a light sleep and immediately woke up when there was a slight movement. Although he wasn't sure how many people were outside and whether the people outside were targeting them, Kabuto didn't intend to rely on himself. He knew very well that a moment of stubbornness will only bring more trouble to his teacher. In such a situation, he should take action at the first time, which is to report to his teacher. After making up his mind, Kabuto turned over without any hesitation and rushed to the door with mist and run. However, as soon as he rushed to the door, he was bounced back by an invisible wall. This is a barrier? Kabuto looked dignified. The 2 women also woke up at this time and looked around vigilantly. Several shadows emerged from the corner of the wall and smiled. Vigilance is good, but unfortunately, it's still too late. Don't think about asking your teacher for help. We opened a soundproof barrier. No matter how big the movement here is, he can't. Boom. The door of the room was suddenly pushed open, and the barrier was violently broken. Shusher walked in as if there was no one around. He chuckled softly and said, "Impossible what?" Several wandering ninjas who had just jumped into the room pointed at Garashi with trembling fingers. You, how did you find out? The ninjas who were hit by the barrier also couldn't believe it. Even if it's an army of 50 ninjas, it's impossible to break the barrier so quickly. Seeing her teacher, Ren was full of confidence. If you want to deal with teacher, you need at least a barrier that can seal 500 people. 500 people. A group of wandering ninjas stared at Renbachien. It's hard to say whether their small countries can gather 500 ninjas. You hyenas have a good nose. Most likely I was targeted by you as soon as I came out of the sand crypsis, right? Garashi sighed. In order to have more peace in the future, it seems that I have to kill more people today. Hearing Garashi's sentence of death, the group of wandering ninjas panicked. Wait, we are very useful. Yes, don't you want to ask us who is behind this? Garashi smiled gently. Don't worry, I can still read the soul directly. Hearing Shuishi's words, the group of wandering ninjas swallowed their saliva with difficulty. For them, the secret technique of reading the soul is a bit far away, and even if they don't know it, they can feel the danger of this ability. At this time, a nervous and excited voice came from behind Garashi. Shimizu Garashi, if you don't want these two people to die because of you, surrender quickly. Chapter 298. They looked back and saw more than a dozen wandering ninjas holding an old couple hostage, threatening them with trembling voices. If you only look at their trembling bodies, you would think that they were the ones being held hostage. Kabuto looked at them as if they were idiots. Are you stupid? We don't know them, what's the use of this threat? Ren also suppressed the unbearable feeling in her eyes and pretended to be disdainful. Who knows if they are with you? When we rescue them, you will launch an attack from the inside. The old man who was the owner of the hostel trembled. We don't know anything, please let us go. The leader of the ninjas who held them captive also nodded. Look at how he's crying. He's so emotional. You can tell that we're not on the same side. Aren't you the conscience of the ninja world? Do you have the heart to watch two innocent people die because of you? The other wandering ninjas also spoke with conviction. Look at these two old guys. Cough, these two old guys are so miserable. Do you really have the heart? Yes, it's not easy for old people. Kabuto and the other two looked strange. Why do these words sound like they are the kidnappers? Very good, we will attract their attention like this. Kakuzu was hiding in the blind spot of the crowd, and the black lines floating out of his body were constantly moving along the ground. Shushi gently raised his right hand, scaring the wandering ninjas into retreating. I warn you, don't make any hand seals. If you make any hand seals, we will kill ourselves immediately after killing these two old guys. Garashi couldn't help but laugh. Don't worry, I won't make any hand seals. Listening to Garashi's words, they said the most ruthless words in the most cowardly tone. Humph. At least you know what's good for you. Garashi raised his right hand and put it between his eyebrows. Although I can't do a large-scale impact for the time being, such a close distance shouldn't be a big problem. Seeing Garashi muttering there, a group of wandering ninjas nervously asked, What are you talking about? Before they finished speaking, an almost substantial momentum burst out from Garashi's body. The surrounding floor and walls were cracked by the invisible pressure, and a group of wandering ninjas rolled their eyes and fainted, foaming at the mouth. Seeing these people fall to the ground with a plop, the two elders were shocked. What happened to them? Although the three little fellows didn't understand what was going on, at this time, they only needed to look at their teacher with eyes of worship. Kakuzu was also stunned by this terrifying spiritual pressure for a moment. When he woke up, he found that everyone around him was lying on the ground. He knocked everyone down in an instant. Damn it, what kind of ability is that? Shocked like this, Kakuzu suddenly froze. Wait, if they all fainted, then I who didn't faint. Thinking of this, Jiao turned his stiff neck and looked over, just in time to meet 6 pairs of harmonious eyes. Originally, he had been hiding in the dark, but now, he was like a crane among chickens. Although the atmosphere was a bit awkward, Kakuzu was still very calm. I didn't expect that after Hashirama, Woodleaf would have such an outstanding junior like you. Garashi smiled gently. I don't dare to compare myself with the first Hokage-sama. That's what I thought at first, but now, my opinion has changed a little. Kakuzu said meaningfully, at least, Hashirama can't suppress me with his momentum alone. It's not that he can't do it, it's that you're not qualified to make him do it. Garashi thought in his heart, but before he could speak, Fog's eyes widened in shock. Did you fight with the first Hokage-sama? How old are you this year? The corner of Kakuzu's mouth twitched slightly. Shouldn't you be shocked by his strength? With a cold snort, Kakuzu directly broke through the wall to escape. If you're not afraid of death, then follow me. However, just as he escaped to the courtyard, he saw Garashi already waiting there. Before I moved in, I left a few flying thunder god marks around in advance, and now it seems that it has some effect. Kakuzu's face sank. This kid doesn't know the meaning of caution? Oh, I'm really underestimated. No matter what, he was an old man who survived from the Warring States period, and since he made up his mind, he wouldn't hesitate. Yuan mode, Yamada no Orochi. 2 masks appeared on his left and right shoulders, and then 8 giant black lines were released from his body, like a black snake, rushing toward Garashi. Wind release, Raisin Shuriken. In the face of such a powerful attack, Shushi calmly threw the shuriken condensed in his hand at the opponent. Boom! The materialized chakra expanded rapidly, turning into countless sharp wind blades, instantly cutting the kuroshio that filled the sky. Seeing that his tentacles couldn't even stop the opponent for a moment, Kakuzu's pupils suddenly shrank, and the masks on his left and right shoulders opened their mouths at the same time. Compound ninjutsu, Flame Storm. Wind release and fire release were intertwined together, and the wind stimulated the fire, creating a huge sea of fire in an instant. However, Garashi obviously has more chakra than him, and he directly used chakra to suppress him, creating a small lake on the ground. Water release, Great Waterfall Technique. No matter what kind of ninjutsu it is, it will be restrained by me. Kakuzu's eyes were cold, and the mask on his chest opened its mouth and released a lightning, which spread along the water, and almost instantly reached Garashi. Then, the lightning was blocked by a layer of ice. Ice release. Kakuzu took a deep breath, and 2 masks appeared on his left and right knees. Compound ninjutsu, 5 elements rotation. 5 different attributes of ninjutsu converged into a terrible energy storm, and it seemed that even the light was distorted. Is this the limit? Facing this terrible power, Garashi was a little disappointed. Compared with Sandem-sama's combination ninjutsu, it's still a lot worse. After all, Kakuzu's 5 attributes were obtained by taking the heart, and the combination of the 5 attributes is more or less stagnant. But on the other hand, to be able to use an ability that doesn't belong to him to this extent, he is indeed very powerful. After sighing, Garashi directly entered Sage mode, and then divided into 3 shadow clones, and the shadow clones and the main body at the same time made the action of throwing shurikens. Senjutsu, Wind release, Water release, Earth release, Ice release, Spiral shuriken. Senjutsu, Chakra, you can do whatever you want. 4 extremely terrifying shurikens erupted, and in front of Kakuzu's shocked eyes, they destroyed his combined attack in an instant, and then rushed towards him without any reduction in power. Because the range of this technique is too large, Kakuzu ruled out the option of escape. Damn it, I can only fight. Kakuzu first used Earth release, Earth Spear to increase his body's defense to the limit, and then several earth walls were shot out. Then it was too late for him to do anything else. The next moment, the terrible energy storm swallowed him. Sound and light disappeared, and the world was silent. After a long time, the aftermath dissipated. The surrounding walls and houses were destroyed, and there was a huge hole in the middle, and Kakuzu's body was lying in it, and he seemed to be dead. Kakuzu was also depressed. He was planning to fight with chakra, and if the situation is not good, he will immediately die to escape. Anyway, he has 5 lives, and dying once is not a big problem. But now the situation is a bit bad. Just one attack destroyed 4 of his hearts, and if he continues to fight, he may be killed. Now, he can only play dead. Chapter 299. The battle between the two didn't last long. In less than a minute, the battle was over. This made it so that when Kabuto and the other 2 arrived, Kakuzu was already lying in the pit. Looking at the scene in front of her, Ren tilted her head. Isn't he the strongest person who fought with the first Hokage? How come he fell so quickly? Fog curled her lips. That kind of thing is just bragging, right? Kakuzu in the pit heard this and thought, how can this little devil talk like that? Is he the kind of person who likes to talk big? Kabuto said, just by looking at the surrounding situation, I know that he is definitely very powerful. Against an ordinary ninja, Sensei doesn't need to make such a big move to defeat him. With that, Kabuto looked at Garashi with eyes of worship. The battle is over so quickly, of course, because Sensei is far stronger than him. Garashi warned with a serious face, don't underestimate any enemy. If I didn't go all out, maybe I would have been defeated by him. The 3 nodded seriously, while Kakuzu in the pit was directly puzzled. Is he so powerful? By the way, sensei. Ren asked eagerly, is there a bounty on this guy? How about we also exchange his body for the bounty? Kakuzu was secretly relieved, as long as they didn't destroy the corpse. But just as he was thinking this, he suddenly found that there were several seals on his body. Then, he heard Garashi standing beside him said, corpse? He is not dead. Kakuzu was shocked. This bastard knew that he was faking his death. Senior, don't you plan to stand up from the ground? At this point, there is no point in pretending to be dead. Kakuzu opened his eyes and stood up with a gloomy face. The three looked at the scene in front of them in surprise. Sure enough, as their sensei said, they can't be careless at any time. It seems that this old man's journey is coming to an end. Garashi laughed. Senior, don't worry, I didn't say that I want to kill you now. Then what do you want? Judging from the ability you just showed, if I'm not mistaken. Garashi muttered, you should be the Takajin who betrayed Kakuzu after failing to assassinate the first Hokage-sama, right? Kakuzu didn't even have time to speak when Ren and the other two were shocked once again. He really did assassinate the first-generation Great One. Although Hashirama's reputation was damaged, Kakuzu didn't intend to explain anything for him. Instead, he looked straight at Garashi. So, what are you going to do with me? Garashi rubbed his smooth chin. You're a Takajin after all, so I can't punish you beyond my authority. After I send the three of them back to Woodleaf, I'll take you to Takajin. Hearing this, Kakuzu's spirit was lifted, secretly happy. It's much easier to escape from the hands of that group of trash than from the eyes of this monster. Garashi was also secretly happy. I was worried that I couldn't find an excuse to contact Takajin, but this guy came knocking on my door, so I don't have to worry about it. After dealing with the group of wandering ninjas, they took money from the group of wandering ninjas and gave it to the old couple as compensation. After that, they continued on their journey. Perhaps this incident had a great impact on the hunter's circle, but in the next few days, no rats dared to follow them. Back in Konoha, after telling Kabuto and the other two about their own activities, Shushi took Kakuzu in the direction of the Hokage building. Along the way, the villagers greeted him enthusiastically. Garashi is back. Garashi-sama won't go out again this time, right? Huh? Who is the person following Garashi-sama? He looks like a thief, he's not a good person. Kakuzu's face was gloomy to the point of dripping water. He was the kind of person who would want to kill as long as there was a situation. Being watched by so many people like monkeys, the anger in his eyes was about to burst out. Shizun and others who heard the news stopped in front of Garashi. Garashi, your skin is a lot dry. The climate in Sand Crypsis is very bad. The two women's attention was on Garashi, while Asma and others were curiously looking at the sealed Kakuzu. This guy shouldn't be simple, just his eyes gave me an invisible pressure. Indeed, this guy's aura is not something an ordinary person can have. If we hadn't been on the battlefield, maybe we would have been scared by his eyes. After Garashi comforted Kurenai and Shizun, he explained, it's not surprising that he has this kind of aura. After all, he is the Takajin who assassinated the first Hokage more than 40 years ago and survived. As soon as his voice fell, everyone couldn't believe it. What? He fought with the first Hokage? Assassinating the first Hokage and surviving, I didn't expect him to be such a strong person. Being looked at with shocked eyes, Kakuzu felt inexplicably uncomfortable. The battle with Hashirama was indeed his highlight. He didn't say it himself, but he did feel a little proud. But these 2 days, he was shocked by these bastards, making him feel a little ashamed. Is it strange that he escaped from Hashirama? He walked all the way to Naruto's building without any obstruction. Entering Naruto's office, Minato stood up excitedly. Garashi, you finally came back. Huh? This is? After Garashi explained Kakuzu's identity and background, Minato had the same reaction as before. Huh? He escaped from the first Hokage? This time, Kakuzu couldn't stand the humiliation anymore. Enough. Is it interesting to talk about this old man like this? Minato was an honest person, so he was a little embarrassed. Ah. Did I say something wrong? Seeing this, the veins on Kakuzu's forehead bulged, but he couldn't vent, so he turned his head to the side. Shushi ignored him and continued to explain. After all, the Takigakure sent ninjas to support us during the war. Now that we have caught the fugitive they wanted, it's only right that we return the fugitive ninja to them. Minato nodded in agreement. You're right. Indeed, Takigakure should be the one dealing with him. However, this kind of thing should be left to someone else. You have been running around for so long, it's time to take a break. Let me do it. Garashi shook his head slightly. He is very strong. His taijutsu alone has surpassed most of the jonins. Even if I sealed chakra, it's not safe. Moreover, he is an old ninja who survived from the Warring States period. Who knows if he has any hidden abilities? I don't feel at ease letting someone else escort him. Is that so? Minato pondered for a moment, then patted Garashi's shoulder with emotion. Then I will have to trouble you again. Chapter 300. Waterfall Country, in front of a large waterfall. This is where we agreed to meet. Just wait here quietly, Shushi said as he sat down on a rock nearby. Didn't I tell you? The entrance is behind the waterfall. Kakuzu didn't have the self-consciousness of a prisoner and even impatiently urged him. After all, Takijin treat this waterfall as a natural barrier. Garashi shrugged. In this case, even if I know, I can only treat it as if I don't know. How troublesome. Kakuzu frowned. With your strength, you don't need to care about the opinions of the weak. Garashi shook his head slightly. I don't care about other people's opinions, but order. Order? That has nothing to do with. As Kakuzu was speaking, 3 figures suddenly appeared in front of them. Is this the special envoy of Woodleaf, Garashi? The person standing in the middle stepped forward and introduced himself. I am the leader of Takijin village, Shibuya. I would like to express my gratitude to Woodleaf for capturing and returning our village's rebellious ninja. Garashi returned the salute. Shibuya-sama is too polite. This is what we should do as allies. Then, Shibuya introduced the 2 people standing next to him. On my left is our Takijin's Jonin Shuein. Without using the hero's water, I may not be as strong as him. On my right is our Takijin's Nanbai Jinchuriki, Kana, He is our Takijin's strongest fighting force. After all, Kakuzu assassinated the first Naruto under the instructions of the previous Takijin leaders. They were also worried that Woodleaf would settle old scores with them, so this time, they called out almost all the powerful fighting forces in the village. At least in terms of momentum, they couldn't lose. Kakuzu looked at them indifferently. A bunch of idiots. Even he didn't feel much threat from this lineup. If Shimizu Garashi had any malicious intentions, it would be easier for him to wipe them out. This situation was as stupid as 3 sheep flaunting their might in front of a lion. The 2 people who were chatting with Garashi frowned and looked over. What do you mean, you bastard? Why are you so arrogant? Do you really see yourself as a senior? Kakuzu said calmly, the comfortable life behind the waterfall really made you out of touch with the ninja world for too long. Do you think the 3 of you are worthy of making him back down? Their expressions changed. What did you say? Since when did we have such thoughts? Special Envoy Garashi is a distinguished guest of Takijin. We have nothing but respect for him. Kakuzu snorted at this. Oh, you know in your heart whether it is or not. This kind of thing is not for a rebellious ninja like you to comment. Shigaya scolded angrily, then looked at Garashi with an awkward but polite smile. Special Envoy Garashi, I've made a fool of myself. Garashi smiled gently. Don't worry about it, Shigaya-sama. Of course, I know Takijin's goodwill to Woodleaf. After all, our 2 villages have formed a deep friendship during the war. Shigaya smiled. Special Envoy Garashi is right. I've made a fool of myself. Special Envoy Garashi, please come with me. The entrance to Takijin village is behind this waterfall. With that, Shigaya looked at Garashi apologetically. Special Envoy Garashi, about the entrance to Takajin, please keep it a secret for us when you return. Before Garashi could say anything, Kakuzu couldn't help but sneer. Takajin is still as unpresentable as before. They want to fight for the position of the 6th ninja village, but they don't want to give up the comfortable life behind the waterfall. The veins on Shigaya's forehead bulged as he heard this. Shut up. Don't forget your identity as a prisoner. Shuei-yen also looked at him suspiciously. The intelligence records mention that Kakuzu is cruel and indifferent. He shouldn't be as talkative as you. Did you catch the wrong person? Kakuzu's mouth twitched slightly. He didn't talk much before because those who dared to provoke him were all dead. But now, did he have any room to resist? Seeing that Kakuzu finally stopped talking, Shigaya led Garashi to the back of the waterfall. Behind the waterfall was a pool. The bottom couldn't be seen at a glance, giving a deep and dark feeling. This pool is very deep. The bottom is connected to the lake in Takajin village. We'll reach it by swimming. After that, Shigaya took the lead and jumped into the water. Although the pool was very deep, it wasn't much of a hindrance for the ninjas. Soon, the 5 of them emerged from the lake. Surrounded by green shade and towering ancient trees, there was laughter everywhere. It was indeed a scene of paradise. Special Envoy Garashi, welcome to Takajin village. After coming ashore, Shigaya was quite proud to formally welcome him. This kind of peace is really enviable. Garashi said with emotion, and then looked at the big tree in the center of the village. This big tree is. This ancient tree was so majestic that its open canopy seemed to hold up the sky, sheltering the entire Takajin village under the tree. This is. Just as Shigaya was thinking about how to explain, Kakuzu suddenly interrupted. This is the sacred tree of Takajin village. Every 100 years, sacred water will flow out from it. It is also called the hero's water by the people of this village. This bastard. Seeing that Kakuzu casually revealed the village's secret, Shigaya was annoyed, but he had to say, yes, that's right, that's the gift of the sacred tree to Takajin village. Sacred tree. Garashi raised his eyebrows and pretended to be curious. I heard that people who drink the hero's water will have their chakra increased by dozens of times. Because a certain Takigawa was nearby, Shigaya couldn't hide it. Yes, the hero's water can indeed achieve such an effect. Perhaps he was worried that Shursui would covet the hero's water, so he quickly added, however, the increase in chakra will also greatly shorten the lifespan of the user. It's precisely because people who drink it will fight with their lives on the line like heroes, so it's called the hero's water. It's amazing. Garashi said with emotion, the hero's water, the Nanabai Jinchuriki, and the secret technique of Yuan. With these 3 powers as support, Takajin's future will be much more stable. It has to be said that Takajin has the Nanabai Jinchuriki, the hero's water, and the secret technique of Yuan. Such strength and heritage is simply unique among the small ninja villages. In Garashi's view, when Takajin's higher-ups sent Kakuzu to assassinate the first daimyo Naruto, they might have the intention of declaring their strength and letting Hashirama recognize their strength. After all, the original 5 major countries were established through the 5 Kage summit of Senja Hashirama. This point is just like the 5 major hooligans in Garashi's previous life. After the world structure was established, it was not so easy for other hooligans to squeeze in. The speaker was unintentional, but the listener was interested. The only one of the 3 who didn't master Takajin's secret technique, Shuei-yen subconsciously looked at Kakuzu. It should be my turn to master the secret technique of Yuan, right? Chapter 301. Thanks to the memory of his previous life, Garashi knew that this ninja named Shuei-yen was the most ambitious in Takajin village. Therefore, he has been paying attention to her movements. After noticing that Shuei-yen frequently looked at Kakuzu, Garashi pretended to be curious and asked, Shuei-yen Jonin, are you in a hurry to imprison him? Shuei-yen was startled and laughed awkwardly. This guy looks too scary. In order not to scare everyone, it's better to put him in prison as soon as possible. Kakuzu's eyes were gloomy. When he escapes, the first thing he will do is kill this idiot. Shibuya nodded. Shueien, you are thoughtful. Then you take him to the prison now. Cockleburr and I will entertain Garashi. Shueien nodded and fed Kakuzu a small blue pill that will make his body weak. Then, she led him in the direction of the Divine Tree. They arrived at the prison. Divine Tree prison again? Kakuzu sneered. After so many years, it really hasn't changed at all. A place as calm as a pool of stagnant water, what change can there be? Shueien said calmly. Kakuzu looked at him deeply. It seems that you are also a guy who is dissatisfied with the status quo. Shueien looked at him passionately. Only the weak are satisfied with the status quo, right? Oh, you are interested in this old man's earth grudge secret technique, aren't you? Don't make it sound so bad. You should let this secret technique return to Takajin. Kakuzu sneered. Returning to Takajin doesn't necessarily mean that it will be your turn to master this secret technique. Shueien sneered. If you don't count those external things, I am the strongest in the village. Earth grudge secret technique, is there anyone more suitable to master it than me? Do you really not know, or are you pretending not to know? Kakuzu lowered his voice and said, the hero water will shorten one's lifespan. Compared with the earth grudge secret technique, which has the effect of immortality and even prolonging one's life, a normal person would know which one to choose, right? Shuyen's footsteps paused for a moment before returning to normal. I was almost fooled by you. Earth's grudge is a secret technique. It's not like I can't learn it just because others have learned it. Kakuzu's eyes turned slightly. Then what if I say that only by drinking the water of heroes can you learn the secret technique of Earth's grudge? What did you say? Shuyen's voice suddenly rose 2 pitches. She snapped back to reality and looked around before continuing to ask, why haven't I heard of this before? If you know, then how can the leader's bloodline protect the hero's water? Kakuzu laughed in a very unpleasant voice. If Takajin had a few more people who mastered the Earth's grudge secret technique, I wouldn't have killed all the Jonins so easily. Seeing Shuyen's uncertain expression, Kakuzu added, in fact, this is an inevitable choice for Takajin. On the one hand, the Earth's grudge's effect of immortality and the vile act of seizing hearts can easily be coveted and feared by other ninja villages. If 1 or 2 people master the secret technique, then it's fine. But if more people master the secret technique, then they will be eliminated by other ninja villages like the Uzumaki clan. On the other hand, the Earth's grudge secret technique requires one to drink the water of heroes. It's destined to gamble with one's life to learn the secret technique. If the leader's bloodline doesn't restrict this information, then maybe Takajin will die because of the secret technique. Shueien took a deep breath and asked, if you drank the water of heroes, then why are you still alive now? Of course, it's because of the Earth's grudge secret technique. Kakuzu calmly explained, this secret technique can extend one's life by seizing hearts. In a sense, the Earth's grudge secret technique and the water of heroes are a perfect combination. Hearing this, Shuyen's breathing suddenly became rapid, but she still managed to remain calm. Why are you telling me this? Kakuzu looked directly into her eyes, because I see ambition in your eyes. People like you won't give up the possibility of gaining power even if they know it's dangerous. Shueien said in a deep voice, are you trying to mock me? I'm not that bored, Kakuzu said, what I mean is, how about we try to cooperate once? Are you kidding me? Cooperate with a rebellious ninja like you? What else can you do besides cooperate with a rebellious ninja like me? Ask Shibuya for the water of heroes. Shueien seriously thought about this possibility, and then rejected it. The water of heroes is a precious treasure that can only be used when the village is in danger. Without a suitable reason, Shibuya won't give him the water of heroes. But if he told the truth, it's possible that Shibuya will directly ban him from practicing the Earth's grudge secret technique. After all, that guy has always been a hypocrite. If he needs to take such a big risk to learn the secret technique, he might just seal it up as a forbidden technique. Thinking of this, Shueien suppressed the restlessness in her heart and asked, how can I believe that you won't turn against me after this? You can poison and seal me, but if you can't even do this well, then you can only blame yourself for being incompetent. Humph. You sure are confident. When do you plan to act? Don't worry, it will take time to break the seal, and I also need a new heart as a replacement. At the same time, on the other side of Takajin. It seems that I need to change my strategy a little. At the banquet, Garashi secretly muttered. He originally planned to use this opportunity to steal the Nanabai's chakra, but when he really came to Takajin, he felt that it was a little troublesome. The Nanabai's Jinchuriki was not sealed in advance like the Yuki, nor was it berserk like the Ichibi. If he forcibly stunned the Jinchuriki or caused the Nanabai to go berserk, it might make his traces too obvious. Therefore, he planned to take advantage of this opportunity to plant some seeds of unrest, and when the seeds take root and germinate, he will harvest the fruit. After having an idea in his mind, Garashi asked with a smile, with the Earth's Grudge secret technique, Shibuya-sama won't have to risk his life to drink the water of heroes anymore, right? Shibuya was startled and immediately said, yes, this is also good, at least I don't have to bear the title of a hero anymore. Although it's not good for me to interfere too much in Takajin's internal affairs, there is one thing that Shibuya-sama should pay attention to. Garashi warned, the Earth's Grudge secret technique is too evil. If it is abused without restrictions, it is likely to attract the attacks of other ninja villages. Shibuya nodded thoughtfully. The role of ninjutsu is to protect the village. If it brings misfortune, then it's putting the cart before the horse. Shushi didn't say anything else after giving Shibuya the eye medicine. Sometimes, the more you say, the more mistakes you make. In this incident, he doesn't need to participate too much. All he needs to do is to send the hookah in front of Kakuzu. With Kakuzu's eyesight, it shouldn't be difficult for him to see that guy's ambition. If Kakuzu can't even save himself, then it only means that he's not even worth being used. In that case, he will have to change the chess piece at that time. Chapter 302. After returning Kakuzu, Garashi returned to Woodleaf. His life in Woodleaf was calm and peaceful as usual. Assisting Naruto in handling documents, leading the team to perform tasks, occasionally giving lectures in the ninja school, and constantly training, in short, it was full and dull. However, the ninja world is not as harmonious as Woodleaf. Under the surface of calm, the undercurrent has begun to surge. Rain Country. The sparkling and translucent raindrops, as well as the rain lines that poured down, formed a white misty rain. In this rain mist, two camps stood facing each other. Why can't we understand each other? Why must we hurt each other? Yahiko opened his hands and shouted excitedly, for the sake of the Rain Country, we have always been giving in. The answer is simple, because the Rain Country only needs one voice. Hanzo's indifferent voice came, also, if you want to give in more thoroughly. Nagato said, Yahiko, this guy has no intention of negotiating at all, let's leave quickly. Want to escape? Are you going to leave her? Hanzo clapped his hands and walked over with a girl with lavender hair. Seeing this situation, Yahiko was shocked and angry. Damn it. How can this be? Damn it, what are you going to do to Conan? Red hair, kill Yahiko with the kunai in your hand. Hanzo said coldly, as long as you kill him, I will let you and this woman go. What? Nagato's body trembled, his eyes kept moving back and forth between Conan and Yahiko. Stop, Nagato, don't worry about me. Conan shouted, you two run away. Nagato, kill me. Yahiko looked back, I will pay for my naivety. Stop. Kill me. Do it. Don't you care about this woman's life? Nagato's eyes were filled with confusion, the voices of Conan, Yahiko, and Hanzo kept echoing in his mind, giving him a splitting headache, and he let out a painful roar towards the sky. Ah! On a cliff in the distance. Ah la la, what an interesting scene. Black Zetsu looked at the scene with great interest. Isn't that right, Bordered Soil? Bordered Soil said coldly, call me Uchiha Madara. Yes, I was negligent. Black Zu laughed. Madara-sama, what do you think? He will see the despair of this world, and then build a real world with me. Bordered Soil's eyes were filled with longing. A truly perfect world without pain. On the field. Nagato was still in pain. What should I do? Whoosh. The sound of kunai piercing his body made Nagato wake up, looking at Yahiko with blood on his mouth. He only felt that something in his heart suddenly collapsed. He actually took the initiative to hit kunai? Hanzo was shocked. Although he's an idiot, he's also an idiot. Conan knelt on the ground in pain, and tears couldn't stop flowing. Why? Why did it become like this? Nagato, you and Conan must live well. Yahiko leaned on Nagato's body and continued to slide down. If it's you, as the savior, you must be able to take everyone. Before he could finish, Yahiko fell to the ground. At this moment, Nagato only felt that the world was spinning, his blood was surging, and the power dominated by hatred was pouring out. Summoning Jutsu, Geto Mazo. Seeing a huge monster breaking out of the ground, the hidden rain ninjas were a little scared. What kind of monster is this? Is this summoning jutsu? Why have I never heard of this kind of summoning beast? On the cliff in the distance. Black Zetsu said excitedly. Geto Mazo, he finally reached this step. Bordered soil touched the mask on his face. That is to say, the plan can finally start. Yes, this is the first step to break the illusion. Let's go, that guy is starting to use the power of Rinnegan. If we stay here, we may be discovered by him. After that, bordered soil turned into a space vortex and disappeared. Black Zetsu smiled and also retracted into the ground and left. In the field. The battle ended quickly, the ground was left with ninja corpses, only Conan and Nagato were still standing. Nagato gasped for breath, several tubes were inserted behind him, his face was filled with a perverted smile. This power, if I used this power earlier. Yahiko may not have died at all. Nagato, you. Conan looked at him with some worry. Don't worry, I've never felt better than now. That being said, Nagato's face showed obvious fatigue. At this moment, an indifferent voice came from behind them. It seems that summoning the summoning beast is really a big burden on you. Nagato just turned his head, but before he could see the other person's face, he was knocked unconscious by a karate chop. This time, I won't give you another chance. The one who spoke was none other than Hanzo, who had just escaped and returned. Looking at Hanzo standing in front of him, Conan gritted her teeth and said, "You bastard, I'll fight with you." However, her strength was very different from Hanzo, and in the case of mental weakness, she was not the opponent of the other side. Before she had time to make a hand seal, she was knocked unconscious by the other side. Looking at the three people on the ground, Hanzo calmly took out a Shinigami mask and put it on his face. Then, he grabbed the three people and left. In an underground cave, Garashi wearing a Shinigami mask sat on the side, and part of his soul entered Nagato's body. Although he didn't intend to transplant his bloodline, he could still take possession of the body and freeload. In addition to the Rain Tiger Freedom technique, he also tested the other abilities of Rinnegan one by one. Rinnegan is really worthy of its name, all kinds of abilities are too convenient, if not for the fact that I don't have this idea, I don't want to leave this body. With a little sigh of the power of Rinnegan, Garashi controlled Nagato's body to go to Yahiko. After freeloading, it's time to get down to business. Conan didn't have her own opinion, Nagato was too extreme, and the only person who could really guide them to not be used by bordered soil was Yahiko. Before this incident, bordered soil once went to Yahiko and others as Uchiha Madara, but his proposal to create a new world was rejected by Yahiko. It can be seen that the existence of Yahiko is undoubtedly the biggest obstacle for bordered soil and Black Zetsu to control the Akatsuki. The existence of the Akatsuki is a good thing for me, but an Akatsuki completely controlled by bordered soil and Black Zetsu is not in my interest. Garashi secretly thought, of course, the most important thing is to let my identity win their trust. Chapter 303. The Rinnegan can awaken Yin-Yang release by itself, just like the black stick created by Yin-Yang release. It's almost instinctive for the Rinnegan master. Moreover, even Naruto, who is new to Yin-Yang release, can create an eye for Yahiko. For Garashi, who has studied yin-yang release for 2 years, it's not difficult to use Nagato's body to temporarily control yin-yang release, and then use yin-yang release to repair the hole in Yahiko's heart. After doing all this, Garashi let go of Nagato's control, and his body came to Yahiko's side, ready to pose. Not long after, Conan was the first to wake up. Well, this is... Conan rubbed his head, and the memory before fainting gradually recovered. Wait, Hanzo. Thinking of this, Conan quickly sat up from the bed and looked around vigilantly. Yahiko and Nagato were lying quietly on the side, and a man wearing a Shinigami mask was fiddling with equipment beside Yahiko. Who are you? What do you want to do to us? Conan asked nervously. Little girl, don't be afraid. Garashi said with a magnetic voice, I'm just an ordinary traveler who doesn't want the young flowers to wither prematurely. In terms of physical age, Conan is actually a few years older than him, but after all, he's a man of 2 lives, and his mental age is indeed that of an uncle, so naturally, he won't show any difference. As for the voice, it's easier to change it. Although the other party's voice gives an inexplicable sense of security, Conan still didn't dare to relax. You mean, you saved us from Hanzo? She couldn't help but doubt. Hanzo is the top figure in the shinobi world. Except for losing to the new demigod, it can be said that he has never been defeated in his life. Such a powerful man was defeated by a masked man who came out of nowhere. No matter how you think about it, it's strange. As if reading her mind, Garashi smiled and said, I'm not as powerful as you think, but I'm good at genjutsu. I used genjutsu to deceive Hanzo and save you. Well, it's like this. Garashi snapped his fingers, and Conan suddenly saw the scene where Hanzo was stunned, and then the masked man took the opportunity to take away the 3 of them. What I'm seeing now is the scene that he recreated with his illusion. Amazing. Conan was secretly shocked. She did not know how she had fallen into the illusion. Moreover, she clearly knew that she had fallen into the illusion, but she could not find a way to break the illusion. With another snap of his fingers, the illusory world burst like a bubble in front of her eyes. That's about it. Although he still had some doubts in his heart, the other party did not seem to have any malicious intentions. Conan did not think too much about it and thanked him sincerely. Thank you, senior. Before Garashi had time to speak, Nagato woke up holding her forehead. I'm so tired. Why do I feel like my body is emptied? Of course, it's because I accidentally played too much. Garashi looked calm, after he experimented with the various uses of Rinnegan, and also used yin-yang to restore Yahiko's heart. It would be strange if he was not tired. Of course, he would certainly not say the real reason. Garashi coughed softly. This is because summoning that golem is too much of a burden on your body. Oh, so that's the case, thank. Nagato subconsciously thanked, then suddenly reacted. Wait, who are you? Conan explained. Nagato, it was this senior who saved us from Hanzo. Hanzo? Yes, the person who knocked me out seems to be him. Nagato naturally did not doubt Conan's words. After calming down, she gratefully looked at Garashi. Thank you, senior. Seeing that Nagato did not recognize his identity, Garashi was secretly relieved. Although the Shinigami mask can mix with soul aura, although he has already tested it in advance when he controlled Nagato, until now, he was completely relieved. Garashi waved his hand. Don't worry, I just think that young people with dreams like you, if you die, the world will be lonely. Dreams? Nagato looked complicated. If it weren't for this ridiculous thing, we wouldn't have been schemed against by Hanzo. But it's because of your dreams that I decided to save you. But Yahiko, he will never come back. Didn't I say? Garashi laughed. People like you, if you die, the world will be too lonely. The 2 were stunned for a moment, then a bold idea rose in their minds, and they asked in a trembling voice, You mean, Yahiko? He didn't. They did not dare to say the last word, for fear that this beautiful dream would be broken by the other party. Garashi laughed. Why don't you go and see for yourself? The 2 were nervous and excited, holding their breath. Step by step, they moved in the direction of Yahiko. Walking in front of Yahiko, Nagato trembled as she put her right hand on Yahiko's chest. The sound of a strong heartbeat made her tears burst out like a dam bursting. He's alive. Yahiko is still alive. Konan also excitedly rushed up, tears flowing down. Great, Yahiko is not dead. Garashi joked, it seems that dreams are still useful. Hearing Garashi's voice, the two came back to their senses and hurriedly turned around to thank him. Senior, I really don't know how to thank you. Until now, the two completely let down the vigilance in their hearts. Although this senior looked a bit mysterious, he was really a good person among good people, and very powerful. Garashi smiled and waved his hand. Don't worry, I just did a small thing. For Senior, it's a small thing, but for us, it's a great kindness that we will never forget. Seeing that they still wanted to say something, Garashi interrupted, well, let's talk about you. What are you going to do next? The two looked at each other, and after a long while, Konan hesitated and said, perhaps, after Yahiko wakes up, we will continue the Akatsuki operation. At this time, Nagato suddenly said, actually, I have some other ideas. Konan looked sideways and wondered, other ideas? Nagato nodded vigorously, people can understand each other, just like me, you, and Yahiko, but why can't others do it? Konan thoughtfully nodded, it seems to be the case. Nagato became more and more excited. In my opinion, the root of all this is that they have not experienced our pain. The same experience and feelings is the basis of understanding. Only when they also understand the meaning of pain, the flower of peace will really bloom on this land. Chapter 304. Let them feel pain, understand pain? Konan muttered to himself as if he had fallen into a cult's brainwashing state. Nagato looked at Garashi with eager eyes. Senpai, do you think my idea can be realized? Garashi shook his head slightly. I don't know. Nagato was startled. You don't know? I'm just like you, a seeker of knowledge on the road of truth. Garashi smiled. Of course, I can't give an answer to such a heavy topic. It can even be said that there is no absolutely correct answer to such a question. The era of ninja village created by Hashirama, and the era of ninja created by the Sage of the Six Paths, they wanted to bring peace to the world, but from a long-term perspective, they failed. What can an ordinary person like me give an exact answer to something that even they couldn't do? Is that so? Nagato was a little lost. However, combining my experience and experience to give you some reference, this level is still possible. Thank you, Senpai. As for what you said about the same experience being the basis of understanding, I agree very much. But to say that others can't understand the meaning of pain, I think it's somewhat biased. Shushi pondered for a moment and then said, isn't it? Nagato suppressed his anger. If people in those big countries can understand what pain is, then why do they still want to start a war? Because the pain is only temporary. Just like now, the anti-war sentiments in the villages are very serious. But after 10 years, how many people will still remember the pain caused by the war? Shushi said with a sigh. Moreover, there are many causes of war, political, economic, social, cultural, racial. Any difference can cause war. Even if they can understand pain, this understanding can't stop the war. Nagato was a little confused. Even if they understand pain, it can't bring peace? Konan asked expectantly, Senpai, do you have a way to achieve peace? Garashi said in a deep voice, I can only say my personal opinion. With my shallow knowledge, there are two ways to achieve peace, a unified government or the same enemy. Nagato and Konan tilted their heads. Huh? If the ninja world can become a unified government, then the differences between countries will no longer exist, so the root of war will disappear. Garashi explained, of course, there will still be contradictions, but it shouldn't develop to the extent of war. So it can be like this. Nagato suddenly realized, and then hurriedly asked, what about the same enemy? The same enemy can make countries temporarily put aside prejudice, cooperate, and trust each other. As long as the enemy doesn't disappear, this situation will not change. Hearing this, Nagato's eyes lit up. Then we can establish an organization to integrate and rule the shinobi world. Even if we can't achieve the first type, we can still become the enemy of the entire shinobi world. No matter what, as long as our organization can continue to exist, then the shinobi world can be peaceful forever. This is indeed a good way, but at the same time, it's also a thorny road. Garashi praised while shaking his head. Others won't understand your painstaking efforts. They will only regard you as ambitious people who crave power. As a dictator who subverts the peace, you will bear malice and infamy, bear all the sins, and even become the enemy of the whole world. Nagato was not frightened by the picture described by Garashi, but became more and more excited. As long as peace can be achieved, even if I have to bear more infamy, I don't care. Garashi clapped his hands lightly. What a great belief. Conan was a little confused, but isn't this the same as what Nagato said at the beginning? Of course there is a difference. Garashi shook his head slightly. Focusing on bringing pain to people is a terrorist attack, and the innocent people at the bottom will also be harmed. And attacking the existing order is an open war, with reform as the slogan, subverting the existing structure of the ninja world. If I have to say, it's the difference between a terrorist organization and a revolutionary army. Revolutionary army? The two listened with shining eyes. This name is indeed much better than a terrorist organization. Thinking of this, they couldn't help but look at Yahiko on the side. If Yahiko wakes up now, he will be very happy to discuss this topic with Senpai. Seeing that it's almost time, Garashi said, let's call it a day. It's time for me to leave. Things that are too easy to get won't be cherished. Instead of rushing to give it away, it's better to wait for others to take the initiative to ask him to join. Nagato was a little reluctant. Senpai, are you leaving now? Why don't you wait for Yahiko to wake up? He must also want to thank you in person. Conan nodded again and again like a chicken pecking rice. We haven't thanked you yet, Senpai. Except for Jiraiya, sensei, this is the first time she felt the warmth of an elder here. No, thank you. I have my own business to attend to. Shushi stood up and walked out, but he suddenly stopped halfway. Before leaving, I'll give you one last piece of advice. The two nodded in unison, as obedient as primary school students listening to the teacher's homework. This is a truth that I learned when I was very young. Although all living things are bitter, I hope they don't do evil. Although you have experienced a lot of pain, I hope you won't be blinded by hatred. There are always many beautiful things in this world. Although all living things are bitter, I hope they don't do evil. The two were shocked, and when they looked up again, the other party had disappeared. Senpai, do you mean that you don't want us to pass on hatred and pain? It can also be said that you hope we don't forget our original intention. At this moment, a whisper came from the side of the two. Here, is this hell? Hearing this voice, the two rushed to Yahiko's side, ignoring the advice of the senpai. Yahiko, you're finally awake. Looking at the two in confusion, Yahiko couldn't help but feel sad. Conan, Nagato, so you're dead too? Hearing Yahiko's silly words, Conan couldn't help but laugh. We're not dead, you're not dead either. I'm not dead? Yahiko touched his chest stupidly, and then laughed with his hands on his waist. Wahahaha. I'm back alive again. After being a little carried away, Yahiko asked with a serious face, oh right, what's going on? Then, Conan, Nagato, told him in detail what happened after that. Yahiko listened and nodded. So, we were all saved by a kind-hearted senpai. Revolutionary army? A hero who bears all the sins? That's a super cool idea. After listening to them, Yahiko clapped his hands regretfully. Senpai is so cunning. Nagato couldn't help but wonder, what's wrong? Isn't Senpai good? Yahiko said bitterly, Senpai must have known my nickname from somewhere. He was worried that I would pull him into my team, so he deliberately ran away before I woke up. Conan tilted his head and asked, so, you're not going to pull him into your team? Of course. Impossible. How can I let someone as powerful as Senpai escape from my hands? Yahiko raised his right fist excitedly. I've decided, I want this Senpai to be my military advisor. Chapter 305. In the underground cave of the Land of Grass. It's been almost a year, Rin, you should be lonely in that world, right? Bordered Soil grabbed a diploma, and there was a rare gentle color in his eyes. Don't worry, I'll bring a few people to see you soon. It won't be long. At this moment, a cluster of green aloe vera emerged from the ground. Obito put the diploma back into Kamui's dimension, and then casually asked with his hands behind his back, it should be about time over there, right? It's time to give some guidance to Nagato. Black Zetsu shook his head slightly. Take. Madara-sama, there seems to be some changes over there. Bordered Soil frowned. What changes? Black Zetsu's expression was complicated. Yahiko is not dead, he survived. How is it possible? Bordered Soil turned around and asked. Is it Nagato? But then he denied this possibility. No, with his control of the Rinnegan, he shouldn't be able to do this. Black Zetsu directly said the answer. They seem to have been saved by a mysterious masked man. Mysterious masked man? Bordered Soil's mouth twitched. He suspected that Black Zetsu was talking about him. From the information they gave to other members of the Akatsuki, the most important feature of that person is that he is wearing a Shinigami mask. Shinigami mask? Black Zetsu said. Although I'm not sure whether this is a deliberate diversion, but the Uzumaki clan has the most masks in the ninja world. Uzumaki clan? Bordered Soil's pupils shrank slightly. You mean, the person who disrupted our plan is a survivor of the Uzumaki clan, and he found out the identity of the Uzumaki clan in Nagato, so he took the initiative to save them? It's possible. Black Zetsu nodded. After all, the Uzumaki clan is born with strong vitality, and many of them are born with the ability to heal others. Such a tricky guy suddenly appeared. Bordered Soil was not happy. Apart from the annoyance of his plan being disrupted, he resented the fact that Lin was not saved by a mysterious person like Yahiko. If that guy is really from the Uzumaki clan, then I'm relieved. Black Zetsu only thought that Bordered Soil was worried about his plan being disrupted, so he took the initiative to comfort Bordered Soil. Most of the people in that clan are brainless. Even if we pull him into Akatsuki, it won't affect our plan too much. That's true. Bordered Soil nodded in agreement, and his eyes became firm again. No matter who it is, I will let anyone who dares to obstruct my plans see the real hell, Rain Country. Hanzo-sama, we. Looking at the somewhat embarrassed Hanzo, a Jonin looked at him hesitantly. Send a copy of Akatsuki's information to all the countries, let them. Speaking halfway, Hanzo changed his mind. Wait, after all, this is our Rain Country's internal affairs, don't let other people intervene. You guys can go down first. Have the others strengthen the defense and patrol. Yes. The Jonins naturally wouldn't question Hanzo's order and quickly left the room. After everyone left, Hanzo secretly thought, the ability that guy showed at that time, was it the legendary Rinnegan? No wonder he always covered his eyes and pretended to be blind. Now it seems that the red-haired guy is the real leader of Akatsuki. Thinking of this, Hanzo's silent heart gradually became hot. I didn't expect the legendary eyes to actually exist. If I can get them, maybe I can defeat Shimizu Garashi. Until I get his eyes, this news must be kept secret. For the entire shinobi world, the changes that happened in the Rain Country were just a small episode that didn't set off the slightest waves. However, this peace was broken one day. Naruto's office. Garashi, this is the special envoy sent by the Land of Demons, Yamagawa-sama. Minato pointed to the man on the side and introduced. Before Garashi could speak, Yamagawa excitedly stepped forward a few steps. You are the Miko-sama mentioned by Miko-sama? Great, I finally get to meet you. Nice to meet you. Garashi greeted him and then asked, Yamagawa-sama, what are you doing here? Yamagawa quickly replied, we are under the order of Miko-sama to invite you to the Land of Demons to fulfill the agreement. There is still some time before the date I agreed with Miko-sama. Garashi asked in a deep voice, did something happen in the Land of Demons? When we came out, the Land of Demons was still fine, but... Yamagawa looked a little worried. Miko-sama predicted that a great disaster would come, so she chose a relatively safe route to send us out to ask for help. Saying that, Yamagawa angrily clenched his fist. Damn it, those bastards must have known that Miko-sama's power will decline during her childbirth period, so they chose this time to launch a rebellion. I see. Garashi nodded solemnly, then turned to look at Minato. Brother Minato, shall I go to the land of demons now? Childbirth period. Minato was a little concerned about this point mentioned by Yamagawa. When he heard Garashi's question, he came back to his senses and said, then I'll have to trouble you. At the same time, in the palace of the land of demons, there were traces of seals and enchantments everywhere. In the deepest part of the enchantment, Maitreya, with a big belly, was standing opposite a black shadow without a physical body. I didn't expect that your power had already seeped out of the seal. Maitreya's face was full of disbelief. When did it happen? Why didn't I foresee this future at all? The black shadow chuckled softly. It seems that the power you inherited is not complete. You don't even know the connection between us. Maitreya frowned. What do you mean by that? You chose the body of a mortal and used the so-called inheritance to pass on your power. It's really sad. The black shadow shook his head and sighed. You even forgot that we were originally one. It's because we were originally one that you couldn't accurately predict my existence. Maitreya's face changed slightly. No matter how much nonsense you talk, there should be a limit, right? You're a demon, and I'm a witch who seals demons. How can I be one with a filth like you? Filth? How stupid. But, forget it, I don't intend to say too much to you. The black shadow shook his head and immediately smiled. You're still barely holding on. Don't tell me you're waiting for the person you're looking for to come to the appointment. You even know this. Maitreya was shocked. Did you actually escape the seal long ago? Almost. The black shadow didn't hide. It's just that the part of me that escaped was still very weak. It's not until today that I have the power to counterbalance you. Maitreya took a deep breath. You mentioned Lord Garashi. What do you want to do to him? Don't be nervous. The black shadow smiled. Didn't you ask him to deal with me? I'll help you this time, of course. The premise is that he can come to the land of demons alive. Chapter 306. At night, in a valley near the border of the country of ghosts. Garashi and the witch attendants of the country of ghosts stopped here. Is it really okay to rest here? Garashi looked to the side and asked. Although we also hope to return to the witch's side as soon as possible, your condition is the most important. If we don't enter the country of ghosts in the best condition, not only will we not be able to save the witch, but even you will be in danger. Shan Chuan said solemnly. Since all of you have said so, then I won't force you. Garashi nodded and set up the tent with the others. Halfway through the setting up of the camp, Shan Chuan suddenly looked embarrassed. He held his stomach and said, Sorry, my stomach suddenly feels a little uncomfortable. I may have to go to the side to relieve it. The others didn't take it seriously and even made fun of him. Lord Shan Chuan, you have to be careful. Don't be bitten by any messy things. If the lower part is bitten off by a bug, it will be very troublesome. You bastards, behave yourselves. Shan Chuan scolded and then ran away while holding his stomach. He ran all the way to hide in the grass in the distance. Shan Chuan looked around and saw that no one was following him. He secretly took out a small remote control and sighed. I'm sorry, everyone. I didn't want to do this, but our strength is not enough to resist the god. For the future of the country of ghosts, I can only do this. When you are down there, please don't blame me. Shan Chuan pressed the button with a mournful look. Boom! The thunder exploded and the ground shook as if the whole valley was about to be blown up into the sky. Sigh, maybe this is life. Shan Chuan shook his head and then suddenly froze. Wait, why does the explosion sound like it came from behind? Shan Chuan turned around and saw the spectacular scene of stone statue debris falling from the sky. Isn't this the god's army? Thinking of a possibility, Shan Chuan was so scared that his face turned pale. In other words, what I blew up was actually the god's stone statue army. Bingo! Garashi's voice came from behind him. In order not to let your efforts go to waste, I purposely moved the bombs you buried to the stone statue. Shan Chuan turned his head and looked at Garashi. He gritted his teeth and said, "Then I really have to thank you." After saying that, he finally reacted. "Could it be that you already knew that I was a traitor, a spy? Damn it, what's the problem?" Hearing this, Garashi sighed helplessly. "Your acting skills are full of flaws. It's quite difficult to pretend that you don't know." "His whole body is full of flaws?" Shan Chuan muttered to himself. The people who came with Garashi looked at him in disbelief. "Lord Shanchuan, you want to kill us?" Shan Chuan's face was ferocious as he shouted excitedly, "What do you know? I'm saving the country of ghosts. The witch is no match for the god." Under the attack of the invincible army, the country of ghosts was easily destroyed like a clay statue. An attendant pointed weakly at the stone rain that was still falling. "Is this the invincible army you were talking about?" Shan Chuan's face stiffened. He shouted weakly, This is just an accident." Garashi sighed and walked towards him step by step. "You really have no intention of repenting." Seeing Garashi approaching, Shan Chuan shouted nervously, "You, don't come over. I'm very powerful." At this moment, an attendant pointed behind him and shouted in horror, "Those stone statues have come back to life." Shan Chuan turned around to take a look. Instantly, he became arrogant and said, "See? This is the god's mighty power, an invincible army with the power of immortality." The 3-meter-tall stone puppets gave people a sense of oppression. In addition to the thousands of stone statues in the valley, when they moved together, there was indeed an unstoppable and terrifying power. Looking at this scene, everyone was shocked and horrified. "Are you kidding? This kind of power is more than enough to conquer a country. How can you use it to deal with us? We're dead. We'll be trampled into meat patties, right?" As they were screaming, they suddenly felt several terrifying chakra waves rising around them. Everyone turned around and saw that Garashi had created 10 shadow doppelgangers. Each of the shadow doppelgangers blocked a direction and held the immortal technique wind release spiral shuriken in their hands. Sensing the terrifying energy waves, Shan Chuan swallowed his saliva with difficulty. What is this?" "Don't be nervous. I'm just testing if they're really immortal," Garashi explained with a smile. "What if they're not?" Shan Chuan asked blankly. "Then I'll have to trouble them to die." After saying that, Garashi threw out all 10 shurikens. Then, he grabbed everyone with his fastest speed and used the Flying Thunder God technique to escape from the valley. The next moment, an incomparably terrifying energy storm erupted in the valley. The mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. The wind howled and the entire valley collapsed. In the palace of the land of demons, my undead army was destroyed. How is this possible? The voice of the shadow was a little panicked. Then he gritted his teeth and looked at Maitreya. "You really found a powerful helper." Seeing Morio's frustrated look, Yahiko was both excited and shocked at the same time. She knew how strong the enemy's stone army was. Garashi-sama is really powerful. Thinking of this, Maitreya was encouraged. Garashi-sama is a hero who can save the world. "Hero? Don't joke around." The shadow roared. "Who do you think I am? How can I be defeated by such a boring thing?" Maitreya looked at him with contempt. "You're just a loser who was eliminated by history. It's natural to be defeated." "Loser? Humph. Then I'll let you see how I play with him." The shadow distorted and finally turned into a replica of Maitreya. Maitreya was stunned. Even standing in front of the other party, she couldn't feel the difference in the other party. This was not at the same level as the transformation of those ninjas. "I said, you are me, and I am you." Maitreya giggled and touched her chest charmingly. "Then, it's reasonable for me to help you reward Lord Shushi, isn't it?" Maitreya's face was red, and her delicate body trembled with anger. You shameless, perverted and disgusting demon. Maitreya shrugged indifferently and said like a child quarreling, I am you, scolding me is scolding you. Then, she walked to the outside under Maitreya's angry gaze. Walking out of the palace, Maitreya's eyes flashed with excitement. I didn't expect there to be such a powerful human in this era. Maitreya, you have helped me a lot. Chapter 307. At the border of the country of ghosts, in the valley, or rather, in the ruins. A group of servants looked at the scene of the valley collapsing in front of them in shock. It's too scary. Isn't this the power of a god? It's hard to imagine. Is this really something that a human can do? Even Shan Chuan, who had also been rescued, was confused. Could the Lord God do this? Wasn't he being too careless as a traitor? Garashi asked, Sir Shan Chuan, can you tell me more about that god? I'm curious. Shan Chuan quickly said, that demon. A servant stared at him. Didn't you say that it was a god? Shan Chuan said confidently, I said that on purpose to make the demon lower his guard. If I didn't lure the stone statue here, how could Garashi eliminate all the enemies in one go? Everyone looked at him in shock. How could a person be so shameless? Seeing that everyone was unable to refute him, Shan Chuan nodded in satisfaction. Actually, I haven't seen the true face of that demon, but one thing is for sure. The palace of the witch has been secretly occupied by that demon. Hearing him say that, everyone panicked. What? Is the witch in a dangerous situation now? Damn it, we have to hurry back. Seeing everyone looking at him expectantly, Garashi pondered for a moment, looked at Shan Chuan and asked, is there any other information? Shan Chuan laughed nervously, we don't have any information about the demon. Is there any information about the witch? Garashi nodded, tell me about it. Shan Chuan was energized, the witch is 170 centimeters tall, and her 3 measurements are 90. Everyone looked at him with a dangerous gaze. How do you know about this? Shan Chuan rubbed his palms, mainly because I have a pair of eyes that are good at finding beauty. I can guess this kind of data at a glance. Speaking of the witch, Chi. Before he could finish, Shan Chuan's heart was pierced by a gray energy. Garashi put down his finger and said to the embarrassed crowd, let's go, the witch is still waiting for us. Everyone nodded and followed him. Dawn had just broken, and the light blue sky was dotted with a few scattered stars. Outside the palace, a large group of soldiers was patrolling back and forth. The soldiers guarding the palace must be the demon's flesh and blood puppets in disguise. Shushi whispered as he hid in a dark corner. Then should we find a place where the guards are the weakest, quietly defeat the guards, and rush into the palace? An attendant suggested. No. Garashi shook his head slightly. When I was destroying those stone puppets, I noticed that they were being controlled by someone. As long as one of them is defeated, the controller will instantly receive the message. Then what should we do? You guys just need to protect yourselves. I'll sneak in to save them. Everyone was well aware of Garashi's strength and knew that following him would only cause trouble for him. Then we'll have to trouble Lord Garashi. Garashi nodded and summoned a little slug. He left a spell pattern on the little slug and had it crawl into the house. He then used Flying Thunder God to teleport to the little slug's side. After deactivating the psychic link, Garashi observed his surroundings. As expected of the witch lineage with a long history. There are barriers and seals everywhere. Garashi sighed inwardly as he concealed himself and searched the palace. At this moment, in the main hall, Maitreya had a pair of long legs on the coffee table and was lazily eating snacks. After sensing the abnormal chakra waves, she hurriedly put down her legs and straightened her posture. She gently waved her right hand in front of her and a mirror that reflected Garashi's every move appeared in front of her. Looking at Garashi in the mirror, Maitreya licked her red lips hungrily. That guy is finally here. Next, I'll have to think about how to quietly reveal a flaw. After thinking for a while, Maitreya looked down at her huge chest and chuckled. Flaw or whatever, I'll let that woman help me again. In the side hall, Maithreya, who was pacing back and forth with a conflicted expression, suddenly stopped in her tracks. A water mirror suddenly appeared in front of her. Looking at the situation in the mirror, Maithreya's expression changed drastically. Is that demon trying to? Thinking of a certain possibility, she could no longer tolerate it and took the initiative to open the barrier and rush out. However, just as she was halfway there, she was stopped by an invisible barrier. Is this the barrier that the fiendish demon set up? Damn it. Clearly, she was not the only one who knew how to use a barrier. The other party knew it too. I didn't expect that demon to learn our methods too. But luckily, this barrier isn't too strong. Maithreya relaxed slightly. I have to break the barrier as soon as possible. In the corridor. This feeling. Have I been discovered? Garashi raised his eyebrows. Before he could respond, he heard a low voice coming from the wall. Lord Garashi, please follow this path. When you reach the fork, turn left. When you reach the third fork, turn left again. You'll reach the main hall where I'm at. Got it, Garashi responded and walked over according to the voice's instructions. He was not worried about traps. With his current strength, so-called traps could not restrict him at all. He walked all the way to the main hall without any obstructions. Maithreya was sitting on a chair with a worried expression. Seeing Garashi, Maithreya stood up excitedly. Lord Garashi, you're really here. Lord Witch, what is this? Lord Garashi, please come in first. Maithreya opened an entrance to the barrier and said. When Shushi came in, Maithreya explained, the demon that was sealed in the land of ghosts escaped at some point. I barely managed to keep it outside with the help of the enchantment left by the previous generations of witches. Garashi nodded thoughtfully and then asked, where did the demon go now? I don't know either. Maithreya shook his head gently, his eyebrows full of worry. It secretly controlled the guards of the palace and left. However, it comes back every night to attack the barrier. I suspect that the demon's strength will increase at night. I see. Garashi said in realization. So, I have an idea. Maithreya said, Lord Garashi, you can hide at night and secretly follow the demon when it leaves. During the day, it will be time to completely eliminate the demon. That's a good idea, but... Garashi frowned slightly. There doesn't seem to be a place for me to hide here. Maithreya looked shy and said shyly, actually, there is another place to hide. Garashi hurriedly asked, where is it? Maithreya gently touched his hot cheeks. My bed. Sure. Maithreya continued to explain, when the time comes, we can hide under the quilt together and stick our bodies closer together. Maybe we can fool the demon. Chapter 308. Looking at the situation in the mirror, Maithreya in the side hall was dizzy, her face flushed, and white mist almost floated out of her head. This shameless and disgusting low-level bastard. What made her even more ashamed and angry was that Maithreya, in the mirror, stroked her belly and said, you don't have to worry about this, the Miko has the ability to reproduce, so you can, Don't say it. Seeing the demon say such words with her face, Maithreya's mind exploded, and her body broke through the barrier in extreme anger. In the main hall, Maithreya blinked, it's still a long time before night, Garashi, Sama, why don't we practice first, shut up. Maithreya rushed out angrily from the side, you shameless demon. What's this? Shushi asked in a surprised tone. Looking at Garashi, Maithreya shouted excitedly, Garashi, Sama, I'm a demon impersonator. Damn it, at this time. Maithreya angrily rushed toward the real Maithreya, in that case, I'll kill you first. However, Masashi was faster than it, and he pressed a Rasengan on it first. Maithreya was bounced and could no longer maintain the power of transformation, turning into a black shadow without a specific shape. However, it didn't seem to be injured. Humph. This level of power is useless to me. Wang Liang shouted, I'll let you go today, and when I unseal all my power, I'll come to you for revenge. After saying that, the black shadow turned into a streamer and fled to the outside world. Maitreya said anxiously, Garashi, Sama, don't let it run away. Don't worry, it can't escape. Garashi opened the sage mode, and the incomparably powerful chakra gathered in his hand. Sure enough, this is the power of the traders. But how can a human use natural energy to this extent? Wang Liang was shocked, but he continued to shout, You want to defeat me with this power? Stop dreaming. What about this? As he spoke, the shuriken in Garashi's hand suddenly expanded tenfold. Seeing this sudden change, even Wang Liang was stunned. Is this guy really not a slug? No matter how you look at it, this kind of natural energy is too exaggerated. Wang Liang was shocked and excited at the same time. But this is good, this power should be enough. Amazing. Maitreya was excited. As expected of the man who can save the world in the prophecy. Garashi threw out the immortal technique, ultimate jade spiral shuriken, which turned into countless wind blades and shot in all directions. The enchantment instantly shattered, and the walls of the palace were annihilated into nothingness, as if a black hole had swallowed the main hall. In the distance, Garashi hugged Maitreya and used the flying thunder god to escape the range of the energy storm. Looking at the empty ground in front of him, Maitreya said excitedly, Great, we've finally eliminated that demon. Before he finished speaking, the ground suddenly split open, and a bottomless abyss appeared below the original main hall. Following that, an incomparably terrifying aura erupted from the ground, and an evil and strange red fog enveloped the entire palace. What is this? Maitreya asked in panic. Ahahaha. It's all thanks to the two of you that I finally escaped from that hopeless seal. Arrogant laughter came from the ground. Hearing this familiar voice, Maitreya asked in panic, Wang Liang? Didn't we destroy the part of your body that escaped? Yes, it was indeed destroyed by the two of you. Wang Liang was delighted. But as a price, my main body was released. What the hell is going on? Idiot. I have already said that the two of us are one. You can't kill me, and I can't kill you either. Maitreya asked in a daze. So, when you said that you wanted to devour me, you were actually lying? I do need your power, but that will require you to offer it on your own accord. The voice continued to explain, As for my seal, only a strong enough external force or a long enough time can break the seal. I don't want to wait that long, so I followed your train of thought and led him here. He did not disappoint me. Using that part of my body as a channel, the power transmitted was enough to break the seal. Now, rest assured and wait for the end of the world. Ahahaha. How could this be? What have I done? Maitreya roared in pain. Garashi's eyes narrowed slightly. You said so much to buy time to familiarize yourself with your power, right? Wang Liang's laughter stopped, and his voice became low. Good vigilance, but unfortunately, you discovered it too late. It's not too late. Garashi quickly formed a seal with his hands and slapped the ground, and an invisible barrier sealed the entrance to the abyss. Barrier? The voice did not panic, and was very calm. Do you think that this level of barrier can reseal me? Stop dreaming, from now on, your fate can no longer be changed. Be quiet. Garashi increased his strength, and the barrier expanded again. This time, even Wang Liang's voice could not be heard. At that moment, Shushi's body swayed as he turned around. He smiled bitterly. This guy is right. With its current strength, I can only hold it back for a few minutes at most. Hurry up and run. Don't let it get your power. Maitreya reluctantly pulled himself together. What about you? What about you? Garashi's eyes were firm. Although I am not his opponent, if I fight to the death, I should be able to leave him some deep memories. How can this be? Maitreya shook his head vigorously. This is obviously our ghost country's matter. How can I let you, now? It is not just the ghost country's matter. Garashi roared. I heard destruction and killing from his voice. If he is allowed to wreak havoc, the whole world will be in danger. Now, the only person who can stop him is you, so you must live. Maitreya looked at Garashi in shock, and after hesitating for a moment, he shook his head firmly. No, the person who can stop him is you. Me? Garashi shook his head and sighed. If it was the previous one, it would be okay, but now the demon is beyond my ability to deal with. No, you can do it, as long as you add my strength. Your strength? Maitreya nodded vigorously. Although Miko-sama has enough strength to compete with the demon, my experience and will are too much worse than Wang Liang. It is impossible for me to defeat him alone. But Garashi-sama, you are different. You are the hero who ended the shinobi war. No matter in which aspect, you are standing at the top of the ninja world. If it is you, you can definitely defeat that demon. Shushi hesitated. Is that really okay? Won't it cause damage to you? It doesn't matter. To me, power is just a burden. Because that power is too strong, it will always accidentally hurt others. That's why I've always sealed it in my body, and even split a portion of it out by producing offspring. Seeing Garashi still hesitating, Maitreya shouted, for the future of the world, Garashi-sama, accept this power. Garashi exhaled heavily, and his eyes were firm. You are right, for the peace of the world, I can't hesitate anymore. A few minutes later, there was a roar. The enchantment that sealed the underground abyss was broken, and the arrogant voice came from the underground again. Ahahaha. It is useless, you should accept the punishment of fate. The disgusting and dirty black sludge stretched out tentacles from the abyss and danced wildly. Part of Wang Liang's body climbed out of the abyss and looked at Garashi fiercely, ready to enjoy the pain and despair of the other party. However, the scene of pain and despair he imagined did not appear. Instead, he saw the human kid calmly leaning on a stone pillar in the side hall and greeted him with a smile. Mr. Demon, good morning. Wang Liang? P.S. I temporarily owe 4 chapters. I may owe more in the future. I will pay it back slowly after the spring festival. Chapter 309. Indeed, Shushi was very happy. He had known for a long time that Maitreya had an unusually strong power in his body, but he didn't think much about it until Wang Liang told him that he needed Maitreya's power. That was when Shushi took the opportunity to ask for Maitreya's power. The result was indeed as he expected. The soul essence of the Miko was poured into his body. Even if most of the power was temporarily sealed, the remaining part made his strength increase greatly. Although he was very strong before, except for the Ryumyaku chakra, he was still at the level of a normal person in other aspects. The reason why he was so strong was that he had no weaknesses as a hexagonal warrior. To put it simply, if one had all A attributes and was up against an ordinary powerhouse who only had 2 or 3 A attributes, as long as one used their advantages flexibly, they would naturally be able to easily defeat their opponent. But now it's different. His soul is extremely strong, it can even be said to be A+. After receiving this power, he has definitely reached beyond the limits of normal human beings. Now he even has the strength to fight against Madara and Hashirama in the Valley of the End. Finally, I'm a little closer to Otsutsuki, Garashi sighed in his heart. He looked at Morio and said with a smile, Mr. Demon, you said before that you need the Miko to take the initiative to offer her power, right? Yes. Morio responded and then asked impatiently, where did you hide the Miko? Don't worry. Garashi didn't answer but said something else, you should have recognized the power I used before, right? Moreover, it's not like I haven't dealt with demons like you before. Seeing Garashi touch the ring on his right hand, Morio pondered for a moment and snorted coldly, it turned out to be that guy Onwu. Onwu? Garashi rubbed the ring and wondered, the name he told me was Zero-Tailed. Zero-Tailed? Morio was startled at first, then immediately laughed, ahahaha, that idiot, hasn't he been beaten enough? Garashi was puzzled, is there a problem? Since you've dealt with Onwu before, and you're the contractor of that slug, you should know something about the ancient times, right? Wang Liang asked. Are you talking about the Sage of Six Paths and Goddess Mao? Garashi asked. Looks like you do know. Wang Liang recalled the past, his voice filled with fear and anger. After that world-ending battle, we knew that we were no match for those outsiders, so we took the initiative to retreat and gave up this world. At first, everything was fine. But I don't know what that idiot Samsara was thinking. He gave up his eternal life and pulled the jubi out of his body. Then, before he died, he wiped out the remnants of the old era. Hearing this, Garashi narrowed his eyes. Doesn't it know that the Sage of the Six Paths has been living in the ninja world in another form? Wang Liang didn't notice Garashi's strange expression and said angrily, obviously, we are the masters of this land, and we even gave up this world, but he still didn't want to let us go, so we could only fight back. It's a pity that the Sage of the Six Paths is too strong, even in a half-dead state, he still easily defeated us. Seeing the sovereigns of the old era either dead or sealed, that idiot Enwu was scared. He carved the word Zero on his head and changed his name to Zero Tail, hoping to curry favor with the Samsara. But the result? The Six Paths didn't recognize him at all. He thought that he was mocking and provoking him, so in anger, he beat him half to death. Wang Liang said with a smile, that idiot can't even remember his own name now, maybe his brain was damaged at that time. So it's an old bootlicker. No wonder it learned so quickly. Shushi sighed. He had been wondering why there was a zero character on Zero Tail's head. It was too much of a coincidence that it grew naturally. So, it was carved by itself. After venting, Wang Liang finally remembered what he wanted to say. Hey, what are you trying to say? What I mean is, the era of the Sage of the Six Paths has passed. Right now, in this world, there are the holy lands of the three immortals. There are demons lurking in the dark. Even those gods have begun to awaken. This era should be a great era of harmony. Perhaps we can find a point of balance to live in peace. Peace. Wang Liang was a little moved, although he thought that he was stronger than Garashi, his previous attack did indeed leave a deep impression on him. Such a strong human, he was qualified to talk to him as an equal. Before he got back all his power, he didn't want to fight him to the death. Thinking of this, Wang Liang asked, then what do you mean? Are you willing to hand over the witch? Not just hand her over. Garashi smiled, I can even persuade her to give up her power. Are you serious? Wang Liang was excited. Of course, I am very sincere. Garashi said sincerely. After the excitement, Wang Liang calmed down. Tell me your conditions. He didn't think that Garashi was so selfless. I said I am very sincere. Seeing Wang Liang's insistence, Garashi could only sigh helplessly. Then tell me about the sage, the gods, and the demons. I am quite interested in these secrets. It's a pity that the immortal slug is not willing to talk about it. Wang Liang snorted, of course it is not willing to talk about it. After all, to our world, they have played the role of a dishonorable traitor. Garashi listened calmly, not showing any strange expression. Seeing that his attempt to sow discord had failed, Wang Liang curled his lips and continued, simply put, the sage's specialty lies in the use and understanding of natural energy. The gods have strong souls, and us demons have bodies that can be reborn infinitely. Garashi showed a hint of surprise. Natural energy, soul, body? Natural energy is flexible and ever-changing. In terms of strength, those immortals are indeed stronger than us, but their ability to protect themselves is far inferior to ours. Therefore, when those outsiders displayed their great strength, they immediately chose to submit. But we are different, the gods' souls are immortal, and the demons' bodies are immortal. Wang Liang said proudly, those weak gods and demons can be killed, but existences like us, even the samsara can only choose to seal us. But weren't you sealed by the witch? Garashi asked doubtfully, could it be that the witch's power also came from the samsara? Wang Liang was silent for a moment, then explained gloomily, at that time, in order to defeat the samsara, I tried to integrate the sage's system, but the two powers conflicted with each other, so I had no choice but to separate the sage's part and turn it into two entities, Qi Mei and Wang Liang. But the other part of me was eroded by the beliefs of those humans, from Chi Mei to the witch, and in the end, it was stupid enough to think that my original body was the source of all evil, so it sealed me at all costs. Garashi was secretly shocked. The sage's system was indeed dangerous. As a great demon from ancient times, Wang Liang should have understood the characteristics of the sage, but in the end? He ended up with schizophrenia, and was sealed by himself. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.